Hello, everybody, and welcome to Crav'In Podcast. This is episode 13. This is actually our first live episode. Today, I'm here with the Action Sledge, Dean Perrone. How's it going, Dean?
Good. How you doing, man?
Not too bad, brother. Not too bad. So I'm your host, Stephen Fiora. This podcast is for all of us that have a good story to put out there, and hopefully people that listen to this podcast, that'll help them better their lives and motivate them to do better. So, Dean, what's your story, man? Where have you been? Where'd you grow up?
Yeah, so I grew up, I live in Florida now. People that follow me, most of them know that. So in Florida now, city called Apopka. Basically, I just tell people Orlando because I'm 5 minutes from Orlando, basically. Where I'm at, actually, I can drive 15 minutes in like 10 different directions and kind of be in 10 different cities, so-called. So that's where I live now. Born and raised, I grew up in Michigan, actually, Livonia, Michigan, which is right near Detroit. And lived there. Probably my parents got divorced, I think, around when I was about 12 or so, something like that. And then ended up moving to Florida with my mom and then stepdad at the time. Probably like 13 or 14. I was in ninth grade, basically. I'm sorry. I went to ninth grade while I was still in Michigan, and I moved for 10th grade on. So, and I lived over in Spring Hill, Florida, it's called. Went to high school there, and then after high school, ended up moving to Orlando with a bunch of people. A lot of people from my high school actually originally moved over to Orlando, and a lot of them partied way too hard, and and ended up majority of them moved back home, but that's it here pretty much ever since. There's actually me, so probably only me and a couple, maybe one or two other people that moved from our high school, that town, over to Orlando area that are still here. Everybody else has left.
Okay, so you moved here with your mother, right?
Yeah, so I moved to Florida with my mom and stepdad, and then I have my dad and stepmom. They live in Michigan still, and I have an older brother and an older sister. They both live in Michigan as well.
Oh, so they stayed in Michigan?
They did, yeah.
Hmm. All right. So where did you come to be the guy you are today? I mean, were you raised a certain way? Because I mean, you're one of the hardworking motherfuckers that we stress so much about in the demo crew.
Yeah, well, work wise, I guess we'll get into more like the fitness stuff and what we're doing now in a little bit. But uh, went to high school, moved over here. I did like the whole community college thing. Well, my plan was to go to community college 2 years, get like my AA, then go to a university or whatever. And I just never did. I did, went to community college and stuff. And then same thing, I just started I hung out with tons of people. The big university here is obviously UCF, Central Florida here. So I was friends with a lot of those people, a lot of like frat guys and stuff like that. And but I I ended up just working. I was more of a working type guy. I wasn't like a great student. Not that I got terrible grades or anything. It wasn't me. It was like I kind of wanted to work and earn money, which obviously that's what you're going to school for. But I wanted it now. And at one point, I had thoughts of going and being an EMT, and then I was going to try to be a fireman, stuff like that. I did that whole thing, and started kind of getting experience doing that part of the school. I think I was done with the schooling and started doing ride-alongs with some EMTs, and that's when I realized it wasn't really for me. I just
That's a lengthy process too in its own.
yeah, and for me it was just it was something. Well, I worked in a hospital. I'll back up a little bit. Just I had worked in a hospital kind of right after high school, and in like patient transportation for the whole radiology department. And so I've been around a lot of the medical stuff, and that's kind of what made me want to do it. But I just when I thought of putting people's lives and the the pressure and like the nerves kind of, I was like, no, I just don't think it was for me. So anyways, I ended up getting a job as a bouncer downtown at one of the biggest nightclubs that was here at the time, still is pretty much, but worked there for a while as just like a normal, door guy, bouncer, and then got promoted up, and I was head door guy or whatever, head bouncer of a place. I actually had 3 different nightclubs, 3 different floors. They were technically like 3 different bars or clubs, whatever you want to call them, for a while. I don't remember how many years, 4 or 5 years. And that living that lifestyle, that's kind of when I started working out a lot again. I worked out in high school, like a lot of people do. And then like a lot of people probably listening, kind of went, ins and outs of working out. I'd work out for a couple of years, and I'd take a year or 2 off completely, turn into a slob, and I'd try to get back into it. But when I was bouncing downtown, that was like the lifestyle. You get off work, bars close at 2, you're there till like 3, then you might go to somebody's house that, works with you, and you guys are partying, drinking, whatever, sleep half the day. I'd wake up, eat, go to the gym, come home, you shower, all that, and it's like you go back to work again. It's like after a few years of doing that, I was like, like, what the hell am I doing? I can't, it's fun at the time because I was younger, obviously. But I was like, obviously this isn't a career path for me. So I don't know what led me to, I ended up getting that atmosphere to like a corporate setting where I was a recruiter, like a staffing recruiter for a pretty large company. It was actually Aerotech, which was owned by Steve Bisciotti, who owned the Baltimore Ravens or whatever, and his company. And I got a job doing that, which was totally different. I remember when I got the interview, the guy called me to invite me in for the interview, and at the time I didn't even own a suit. Like I didn't even own one, suit and tie. If I get the job, I wear a suit and tie every day. And so I had to literally tell the guy I couldn't do the interview on whatever day he wanted me to. Like I made up an excuse that I had to push it back a day or two because I knew, I'm like, shit, I gotta go buy a suit and stuff. But I got that job, and as a recruiter for a staffing company, I did that for a while. I did pretty well at that, and I got promoted to a sales guy there, salesman.
And those are like not short-term jobs; those are career-based jobs, right? Like,
yeah, this company, staffing companies out there that do a lot of temp work or whatever. Everything we did was like temp. They call it temp to perm, and we had different divisions. I was in a light industrial division, so I dealt with like a lot of warehouse guys, like shipping and receiving, forklift drivers, stuff like that. But we had like an engineering division, we had an aviation division. I forgot I think there was 4 different divisions we had, but all different price ranges. Like in our office, we dealt with people making $8 an hour up to $150,000, $200,000 a year people were making. So it was a huge range of people because we had so many different divisions. But it was all like temp to perm. So companies you go through us, we find the candidate, we do the interviews and all that. And the way it worked, I think they were still on our books for like 90 days, and then the company could take them on. That's how they make money, obviously. But I did that for a while, and it was cool at the time because I was making more money than I had ever made. I've accomplished because I'm working like a kind of a corporate job, cubicle, suit and tie, a company car, and stuff like that. So everything was going pretty well there. That's actually where I met my wife, Tracy. She came in. I was already there, and she came in as a recruiter as well after she graduated from Florida. Yeah, and we I don't remember. I think we were kind of dating as we were both recruiters, and then I got promoted to a salesman. But regardless, it was like a corporate setting, so they frowned upon like in office, really more so between like a salesman and a recruiter. It was even more like forbidden, but that just couldn't be helped. So but I did that for a while, and then same thing there. I knew really what didn't wasn't. I wanted to make more money, and I knew some guys that were doing mortgages at the time, and just making a shitload of money. And so I ended up leaving there, and I started doing mortgages officer, whatever. And same thing though, it was a suit and tie, working kind of long hours, cubicle shit, always on the phone. The thing I didn't like about that was it was pretty much 100% commission. And there were some guys in the office, making like 50 grand a month, month after month after month. And I could never get to that level. I'd have a month where I'd make 15 grand, and then the next month I'd make like 3 grand. So it was like, one month you're like, oh shit, this is great. Next month you make nowhere near as much. It was just super inconsistent. And I didn't really like that that much either. And so at the time, what led me to what I do now, I own, for people that don't know, I own an appraisal business, residential appraisal business that I've owned now for 16 years. And but what got me into this was, while I was doing the mortgages, there was a couple guys that I knew from like my bouncing days. In fact, 2 of the guys were barbacks, at the time. They were doing appraisals now, so they would actually come into the mortgage company I worked for. Here I'm in a suit and tie and all that shit, and they're walking in and they have like a polo shirt on and khaki shorts every day. And that's what, I just started bullshitting with them. But I was like, what the hell are you guys doing? And they're like, oh, it's great, man. I work from home, make my own hours and whatever. And this is what I wear every day. So that to me was like more my style. I'm like, everything about it. So I looked into it or whatever, and ended up going to do all the appraisal stuff. And when I started that, I didn't really know much about it at all. I didn't really know anything about it at all, just besides what they told me. So did all that, and a lot of that stuff has changed now too, as far as like the schooling and requirements and all that stuff. But when I started, it was just like a 40-hour course. You had to pass a test, and then you got like at the time it was called a registered trainee license. Once you got that, you could do appraisals, but you had to work for a supervisor. And everybody's goal is to become state certified, because once you're state certified, you could basically go out on your own and start your own business. But and again, this has all changed. When I started, you just had to work underneath somebody for like 2 years. It was 24 months, complete like a certain amount of hours, and I think do a certain amount of appraisal work. And so me being, like I said, I'm not afraid of working hard or working long hours. I knew that was the end goal for me. I'm like, I don't want to be a trainee and working for somebody else. I want to be my own boss first and foremost. That was always the number one goal for me.
No, so, that's all of our goal.
Yeah. So it was. So like I knew when I got my trainee license and started working underneath this other guy who I knew, who he had already been appraising for several years. And like I knew I want to do my 2 years and I'm out. And I wanted to start my own company. Just what you just said. It's like, and I want to make other people money. I want to make me money. And so literally like 2 years to the date, like, I mean, when I was ready to go, I went back to school. We're going to do like another like 80 hours of courses. And then I was able to I had to pass the course test. And then you're able to sit for like the state test. And obviously then you pass the state test and you become state certified. And at that point you can go start your own business. But for me, I had good relationships. Like even as a trainee, I was bringing in like more work than like the supervisor guy had. Like just because I'm, I don't really know if I consider myself a people's person or whatever. I mean, but I'm good with talking to people and stuff like that and building the relationships. So, and obviously I was trying to provide a good service for everybody. So I had a lot of work. So the moment I got state certified and started my own business, like all that work came with me. So I never like skipped a beat and kind of hit the floor running. And that was back in like 2004. So like I've been I did 2 years underneath him. I started like in 2002, and 2004, somewhere around there, I got I started my own company, and that's been it ever since. So doing that, and you know, and it was like I got in at a great time because I got, like I said, I started like 2004, and like 2005, 2006 were kind of like the huge years, especially here in Florida, the big real estate boom. And like at one point, I had 10 guys, and I literally like never left my house because they were doing all the work, and I was a supervisor signing off on stuff and reviewing stuff and that. But it was great. And then I think it was like 2009-ish is kind of when the market down here plummeted, and everything took a shit. And so a lot of people I know, both appraisers and realtors at the time, you know, bailed on the industry in general. They didn't have business or whatever, or losing money. So they got out of the business, and I just stuck around, kind of survived for a couple of years with all the foreclosures and stuff like that. But it was definitely a lot slower than it was, you know, my first few years. And but again, I had some good relationships that I built, so I was busy enough to keep hanging on there. And then you know, everything started coming back, and it's where we are today. So everything's been good. I got one guy that works for me, and I've just kept it small, like me and him, for the last. I think I hired him about 3 or 4 years ago now, and so doing everything for the company.
Oh, and it's just both of you guys. So
Yeah,
you keep pretty busy, make your own schedule, everything.
yeah. So yeah, and that's it. I mean, it's like I work a ton of hours, like even though it's my company, and I think that goes with a lot of people in any business. You know, it's like people that own a restaurant work. You know, people think it's great because you're the owner. It's like they probably work way more hours than you probably work. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
a lot of people have that perception, like, oh, you're the boss or you own your own company, you don't have to work that hard. And it's like, dude, I was, but at the same time, I have the freedom of making my own schedule, doing what I want. I work from home. Like I said, you know, I wear a polo. You know, that's what I do now for the last whatever 16, 18 years. I wear shorts and a polo shirt every day, especially down here in Florida. You know, it's hot. So, but yeah, so I'm able to do a lot of stuff. Like we talked before, you know, like being self-employed and making my own schedule with this. I'm able to go to all the kids' stuff at school if I want, you know, whatever. If Tracy, you know, one of my kids has something on Wednesday or whatever, like, you know, I just schedule my stuff around it, or I take the day off and whatever. So it's been good. Can't complain at all. Been very fortunate with everything.
Yeah,
And
that's one thing that's like a goal of mine, is eventually not have to miss any of the kids' events or the family events, you know. Because I work at a state prison, and the hours are ridiculous, a lot of overtime, and I got to miss a lot of family time. Like, for example, I get off at
yeah,
1400 hours, 2 o'clock. We could have inmates fighting right at the end of my shift, then I'm stuck there until the paperwork's done, you know.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it's been good for that, especially. I mean, and you know, I have 4 kids, so there's always there's always something going on.
no, yeah, with 4 kids, you got sports, everything.
Oh yeah, it's nuts, man. It's been really weird. All 4 girls play soccer, and they have their whole lives, and so you have 4 different teams. 3 of the 4 are travel teams, so we're different. Sometimes we're in 4 different cities just for practice alone.
Jeez.
But we're going different ways. We're lucky because Tracy's parents live right here, also right by us. So a lot of times I'm taking one kid here, she's taking one kid here, and her parents might be taking 1 or 2 kids somewhere.
Oh, okay.
So we're lucky we have them to help out a lot. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. There's always something going on. Then you have school and everything on top.
Do they all go to the same school too, or are they different?
Oh, well, no. I have one of my daughters is in 9th grade, so she's at the high school. My next daughter is in the middle school, and then my 2 youngest ones go to the same. So 4 kids, 3 different schools, also, which is also crazy because it's all, you know, they're staggered times. So
Oh, yeah.
they start school at different times and they get out of school at different times.
Then you have your early days, and yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It's crazy, man. We're like basically.
Yeah, so you're like the ultimate soccer dad.
Yeah, yeah. I still don't know how. Like Tracy grew up playing soccer. Her dad coached. Her dad ref. Her dad used to ref even like NCAA games, like all Division I colleges, everything. So her dad knows, and he still to this day like reads stuff. He knows every rule possible, everything that goes on, and she played all through growing up through high school, everything, college, all that. But I still like even with 4 kids playing, I still don't know half the rules sometimes. I'm there watching, but I'm still like half the time I miss the offsides or I don't know some of the stuff that goes on. Still confusing to me. I'm more of a baseball, football, basketball guy, hockey
Oh
guy.
yeah, yeah, football all the way.
Yeah,
I couldn't stand. I don't know. I didn't do softball or baseball. Always football.
yeah, yeah.
And it kind of sucks. My kid, he wants to do soccer. I'm like, man, do football. He's like, no, I want to do soccer. It's like, man, I just want you to be into football. Come on. I want to see my kid do
Yeah.
that. So all that aside, I mean, how'd you get into fit or how did you get into bodybuilding? And I know you're an ambassador for several companies.
Yeah, so like I was saying, working out, I went in and out of working out a lot. When I was doing like the staffing company, even man, I didn't work out for a couple of years, and I got up to like 200. I think my highest was about 240 pounds, but like zero muscle. Like I was never ever working out, and then at a certain point, I thankfully got back into it. But and I've said this before lots of times too, and some of my stories and stuff like that. I was always the guy, again, like a lot of people, where I work out, but my diet, I never had a diet, like a good diet is what I mean. You know what I mean? It's like I would work out 4 or 5 days a week, but I'm eating like McDonald's, Taco Bell, Wendy's. I'm eating pizza 2, 3 times a week. Then, the weekends come and I'm just hammering back day. So I had a little bit of a build to me, a little bit of muscle or whatever, but I was kind of like stocky, I guess, whatever you want to call it. And so a little bit of muscle, but never ever had abs. I've never seen my abs until probably like 6 years ago. It's like literally the first time. Even in high school, I wasn't really like a lean guy or anything because I'm a huge eater, as most people know.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Big,
Matt
yeah,
King.
I'm a huge binge eater, snack eater. So I've always struggled with that my whole life. So that was me for the longest time. Literally, is I'd work out, but I never had a good diet. My nutrition was terrible, terrible, and so I was working out at Gold's Gym. This is probably like 6 years ago, and exactly the guy I just explained to you, and there were some people I knew that were just friends of mine that they were huge into it and competing. And one of the guys was a coach. Several of them had already been competing, like men's physique, bodybuilding. Some of the girls even were doing, bikini and figure and all that. And I would work out with them and stuff. But I had never had any interest whatsoever in competing or anything like that. And I forgot what year it was, maybe like 2012-ish. They were kind of on me saying you should compete. You should compete. And I literally laughed. I'm like, no way in hell. Like it's not me. Like I knew what it was about somewhat, but I'm like, I can never get on stage, wearing like I didn't really know the difference so much at the time between like bodybuilding or I just always had in my head the vision of bodybuilding. We got like speedo on stuff, and I'm like, it's no way. Like I could never do anything like that.
Up there with your banana hammock in front of
Yeah. And I just so I dismissed it. I was like, no, never, man. And then about a year went by, and I think it was in 2013, they got on me again, and they're like, you should compete. And I'm just like, I don't know, and they're like, you're in the gym all the time. Like, why not? Just do it. And so, I forgot at the time, whenever I did my first show, I was 39, which is obviously really late for people to do your first show. And, but I was like, and so I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm like, fuck it. Like I talked to Tracy, and I'm like, I'm going to do it. And like, not for anybody else but me. I'm like, kind of like a bucket list type thing. I'm like,
oh, all right.
yeah, I'm like, I'm going to step on stage before I turn 40. And so it was just a goal that I set. What's the worst that can happen? I end up shredded, look lean, like I have abs for the first time in my life. You know what I mean? I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? So I was like, okay, let's do this. And so I hired one of the guys at my gym who's a big time coach here in Orlando, has tons and tons of clients, super, super successful, well known all through the Florida area, really. So I got with him and decided to do a show. And we started like that year, whatever year it was, maybe 2013-ish. We started Eve because we had a big bash here at our house. Even I just remember like thinking in my head, I'm like, man, this is my last hurrah for a while. So started like right after probably the first week of January prepping, and did like a hardcore old school prep. He's changed his coaching style a lot, but at the time it was very just straight clean food, man. And it was like the same shit. I mean, I'm eating turkey and rice, chicken and rice, tilapia and rice, like broccoli with every fucking meal. Very, very straightforward. I was eating like 8 ounces of meat every meal. And to the point, it was just more, I was eating like 6, 7 meals a day for at least the first month. And for me, it was just more, it was obviously all clean food, no cheats whatsoever. And I was literally like force feeding myself every meal. I just remember thinking like, fuck, what did I get myself into? But I had the goal in my mind that, I'm going to do it. And we laugh now, even like I don't know how I went so long without like cheating or anything, but I think it was just because it was the first show. I had such a goal in mind, and I was so determined to do that. I knew I could obviously do it, but to me, I was like, I just want to see. I want to finish out the goal, and so we did an 18-week prep. 18 weeks. I think I had one cheat meal that he gave me, and literally in the whole 18 weeks, shredded down. And then I went and I did the first show, and I didn't know. I just went off the show, and at the time, I didn't realize it was a big national qualifier, like 293 competitors, which is a fairly decent sized show, and especially for your first show. And I was just like, yeah, I got there and had no idea what to expect. I'd never been. I think at the time, I don't even know if I had been to an actual show before, and obviously, definitely not backstage, and so I had no idea what's going on.
Yeah, totally different mindset when you're backstage and different
Oh,
feeling from all the competitors.
yeah, and a lot of people, again, there's other people there also for the first time, but the majority, they've competed 2, 3, 4 times already. So a lot of people know what they're doing. But so I did that show, and I didn't place at all. Obviously, the classes were huge, but didn't place. Almost had a panic attack on stage.
Oh, really?
I was so depleted, just completely depleted, and I think I pumped up too much. Right before you go out on stage, you're doing everything: bands, push-ups, dips off like a bench, like so you're trying to piece cakes, peanut butter and jelly and shit, and
You're getting your blood flowing and
yeah,
muscles all swollen for the show.
yeah, and I was so depleted. I had nothing in me, and I'd taken some diuretics, to really suck everything tight. And I think that with getting the nerves, the heart rate up, depleted, sweating, nerves, it was crazy, man. And so did shit eat that show, but which I didn't expect it to do much. But that as I got like the itch, kind of like a lot of people say, once you do one show, you're either going to hate it or you're going to love it or you're going to want to do another. And that's what happened to me. I got done, and right away, just being competitive, I'm like, okay, now I know what this is about. Like I want to place. I don't want to do this not even place in the top 5. So there was another show, I think literally 2 weeks later, smaller show, one here actually in Orlando. And so I said, well, let's just do that. So I'd already prepped for 18 weeks. I'm like, let's just hit it again. So I did that show, and I ended up coming in second, which is great, and rightfully so. The guy who beat me was much bigger, everything taller, bigger, so way better.
Especially for your second show. I mean, you don't know how much that guy's been in shows, and I mean how comfortable he is, and I mean your second one after not even placing. That's
Yeah, and it was great. Like the my transformation, not physique wise, but mentally, the second show was night and day, like night and day. Where I was so nervous the first show, on the second show, I'm in the back, I'm laying down, I'm fucking with other guys and like bullshit with everybody and joking and everything, and just super relaxed. Went out on stage way more confident. Posing was way better, like everything. And my goal was just to place in the top five because at all the shows, the only top five get recognized. So my goal was just to make top five. I mean, even if I would got fifth, I would have been happy, some sort of trophy or whatever. So to get second was awesome. And when it got down to the last two guys, like I said, it was me and this guy standing there next to me, and like I knew, I knew I wasn't going to get first because I just looking at him, I'm like, he's way better than me. So I knew I got second though, but I was super happy with it, and yeah, just a huge difference. So I did those two shows, and then I started getting into it, and at the time, I think is when I kind of came across Instagram.
Mm.
And so Instagram and posting and stuff, and just at first, man, honestly, I think like my first 10, 15, 20 posts on Instagram, they're probably still on there. If somebody goes way back, nothing to do with fitness. It might be like my kids, like my dog or something, what I mean? So I wasn't even using Instagram like for fitness or anything like that. It was just more like almost like Facebook, I'm just like sharing pics or something to the family. And so during that time after those two shows, I was following Rich Piana. He was with Mutants, and then that's when he came over and he started 5% Nutrition, the whole Love It, Kill It thing, and the clothing line. So 5% took off, and I started because I was already following Rich and liked who he was. He was just like this super polarizing guy, obviously, and so I started buying the 5% stuff, and I had shirts, tank tops, I had all the products, and so I started posting that stuff. And
Oh, so you were in it. You knew who you wanted to be with and just went for it.
yeah, I yeah. Well, at the time though, like I never thought in a million years I would get with the company. I didn't really know, and but I just started using the products, and then I would start posting mostly pictures because I really wasn't doing many videos at the time. Um, and so I sent in applications. I think at the time they were taking applications on their website to become like sponsored or something like that. So I was like, what I got to lose? And I did two shows. I'm a competitor. Maybe they'll look at me, right? And I didn't know if that had anything to do with anything or not. But my thoughts, I was like, oh well, I'm a competitor. Like I look halfway decent. I'll send it in. So I emailed them and like never heard back. And then and like a month or two went by, and I emailed them again. Nothing. Never. Like you didn't even get a reply. Nothing. And I laughed because I always remember it was probably like my fourth email to them. The lady who I later she emailed me back, kind of like in a very nice way, like stop fucking emailing us. We got your shit. Like it was one of those, like very nicely though, she's like, we got your info, guy. You don't need to keep sending it, right? And it's kind of like we'll let you know if we're interested and whatever. And so and me and you had discussed this kind of like where, and I've talked about this a lot of times too, where nowadays it works a little bit different, and everybody wants like the instant answers, right? So it's like helping run all the stuff with the demo crew. I'll get DMs all the time on Instagram where somebody say, hey, how long does it take to hear back about the demo crew? And I said, well, when did you send in your application? They're like, well, yesterday. To me, I like laugh because, and we're super fast. Carly's the one who goes through a lot of that stuff. And for me, getting with 5%, it lived from my first email to them. I literally didn't hear from them it was probably over 4 months. And I just kept grinding it out and doing what I was doing. Never got like butthurt or bitter, like, oh, fuck them. They're not going to bring me on. Like I kept posting 5% stuff. I was posting, again, pictures of me wearing the clothes and pictures of the products or whatever it was. And eventually, they emailed me one day and said, we'd like to bring you on or whatever. Congratulations, we want to bring you on, whatever. So anyway, so I started with them. But before that even happened, I had thought about I was getting the itch to do a third show. And I was at the time following a guy named Josh Bryan, who was with 5%. He was one of the original guys. I think he may have been like the fifth or sixth person Rich, they had ever brought on. So he was kind of like in that first realm of people with 5%. And I saw just, from following him, I saw he was, a prep coach and all that. So I reached out to him and inquired about him, about what he did, how he did it, like his prices and all that. And like I said, my first guy here in town, he was kind of, old school, a lot of like bro food at the time, very, very strict meal plan and all that. Well, this guy just was known too as like the complete opposite. He was like if it fits your macros type of guy, and he was a competitor as well, super shredded, and he's eating fucking Pop-Tarts and like shit like that. So I was kind of like, what's this all about, and at the time I didn't really know what the whole if it fits you. I knew it. I didn't really understand or follow like if it fits your macros type thing. Because again, I'd only dieted really once. It was for those two shows. It was like really the only time I'd followed a meal plan or dieted down for anything.
So sorry to interrupt, but when you say that's the only time you actually followed a meal plan, that's because your coach?
Yeah.
You didn't have a coach afterwards, so it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna eat what I want to eat again, or what?
Yeah. Like, so, well, leading up to those the first coach, when I got done with those two shows, I was still I kind of went back to, not like I completely went to shit, but I was just kind of eating, I guess, intuitively or whatever you want to call it. But this guy intrigued me because number one, he was with 5% at the time, and I wanted to get with them as well. But I wanted to do another show, and then he was a totally different style. So to me, it was, and I'm still like nothing at all against the first coach. I'm actually really good friends with him, still talking all the time. Just more curiosity. I'm like, I know there's a million ways. Like every prep coach is different. There's a million ways to prep. There's so many different ways that people do stuff. All these coaches, and you can still end up, completely shredded and lean and big and full and go on stage. So to me, I was more intrigued than anything. I'm like, I want to try prepping with a completely different coach style. So I did a show. Me and him got together, and I did a show with him, and it was great. I did even better I did 4 classes, and I took a first, a second, and a third, I think, in that show. And because the food was a lot different, totally different. Like, not that I was eating shit. I was still eating a lot of very, very clean foods, but like majority of the prep, I was eating like a Lenny and Larry's cookie, like one a day, which are fucking terrible. But I was eating one of those. It's kind of like a treat to keep my sanity every day.
It's like, you did good, bud.
But I would treat it almost like a meal, like my yeah, like honestly, like I would have my meal number one, and then I would always have like a Lenny and Larry's, like the second thing I ate of the day, just because it was like a treat kind of. And I looking back now, though, I'm like, those are terrible for you. But and, I ate a lot of peanut butter for my fat. So this guy would give me macros to follow, and he kind of left it up to me almost to eat what I wanted. And again, I wasn't like some people you see online that if it fits your macros, eat all kinds of good food like chicken and rice and broccoli and stuff like that. But I wasn't afraid to mix in peanut butter for my fats, or I was eating, like I said, Lenny and Larry's, or I'd eat Quest bars, whatever. I was eating more protein bars and stuff like that. But I did awesome. So that show, like I said, like a first, second, and third. I battled for the overall, which I lost, but I did that show with him, and it was right before my show is when I got 5%, brought me on or whatever. So and then so, and I came in just way bigger, way bigger, fuller, and just as lean as my first two shows. But there was a 2 year gap in between those, and
Mhm.
so that's why it's I've done 6 shows, and all 6 of my shows were 2 years apart. So I did like 2 shows.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did 2 shows, then 2 years off, 1 show, 2 years off. I did 2 shows, and then 2 years off, and then 1 show.
Hmm.
And it'll show I came in like 3, 4 pounds heavier, which is a lot. Like if people that compete that are listening to this know 4 pounds is a lot when you're, at like 6% body fat or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like,
Oh yeah.
if you're 50 pounds overweight and you say, oh, I came in 3 pounds, it doesn't mean much. Like 3 pounds is 3 pounds. But when you're talking 3 pounds of muscle and being full and round, and 3 pounds, 4 pounds is a shitload of weight that you can put on from show. So I did that show. So I was like 3 shows in, and then just started doing everything with 5%. So it was awesome doing stuff with them. I did, I went to all the Olympias. I went to the Arnolds, did the Europa. Rich only came to the Europa here in Orlando one time. So obviously I was here because that was my hometown. And so I got to spend a lot of time with him. When I was with 5%, we would always eat breakfast with Rich. So all day at the expo. I usually was always next to him because I did, if anybody was ever at any expos with Rich, he always signed big pictures, like autographed pictures. So a lot of times I was right next to him giving out pictures to people and stuff like that. So a lot of like dialogue. I got to talk to him a lot, and then so we would do breakfast every morning, do the expo. We would always, as a team, we'd go right from the expo to a gym, wherever city we were in. We'd all work out, and with him, and then we'd all leave the gym, and we'd always go eat. A lot of times it was like the Cheesecake Factory, because Rich was like a big Cheesecake Factory guy. But it depends where we were at or what city and stuff. So I was able to do, I think I did like 7, maybe 6, or I don't remember, 6 or 7 expos with Rich, which is awesome. And then a friend of mine who actually prepped me for my last 3 shows, named Jack Barantini, he's still with 5%, and he lives here also, Florida, which is, again, also right next to Orlando. He's probably 30 minutes from me. He owns a gym, and when Rich was still alive, Rich came over. We threw kind of we called it like a 5% day, and we kind of promoted it and all that. And Rich came over to his gym, and we invited just a shitload of people. We promoted it on Instagram and Facebook and stuff, and it was just open. And of course, with Rich being there, just like packed house.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so Rich came over here. We did everything there with a bunch of and all that, and then a very small group of us after that with Rich, went to like a barbecue place and ate and stuff like that. So it was awesome. A lot of people asked me about him, and to me, it was just people either loved him or hated him. It seemed, I know from people, even like big names in the fitness industry, that are, even today, that never really met him, or maybe they didn't like him. I've heard a lot of them say like, oh, I don't really like he did, but every one of them I've heard say like they always respected like what he did for the industry, and then they respected his work ethic because, and I kid you not, every single expo that I did with 5%, and anybody that was with 5% will tell you, we were the last ones at every expo. The security, we got kicked out of them because Rich always had the longest lines, and Rich would stay there until security kicked us out. So one year at the Arnold,
So he pretty much cared about the
I remember
fans
the
and
Arnold
just
closed
spending
at
time with
5 or
them.
5:30. Big time. One of the years at the Arnold, it was the first maybe Arnold I did with them. They had closed, and I would say 90% of the people were already out of the expo, and security was starting to kick everyone out. And I bet you we had 100 people still in line that had been waiting, for Rich. And the security guys came up to our booth and were like, we got to cut it off, Rich. It's over. You got to, tell these people to come back tomorrow. And I always remember Rich literally not telling them shit. He goes, if you want to be an asshole, you tell them. And the guy literally, without even hesitation, was like, sorry, folks, you got to go. And people were so pissed because they were, they'd probably been waiting in line for 3 hours for Rich. But he wasn't going to do it. He's like, I'm not telling him anything. He's like, you tell him. And, but he was huge with the fans as far as spending time with them. Again, anybody listening that's been to a 5% booth knows, like, Rich would sit there and talk to you. Like I said, I was always kind of next to him. I always feel bad for the next person in line because sometimes he would sit there and talk to somebody for like 10 minutes, and I know the person behind is probably like, fuck, come on, man, let's go.
So next, I've been here for 3 hours.
Yeah, that seriously, that's what it was like. So, but he spent a ton of time with people, and like, I don't know how many people I would hear come up and say like, oh, you changed my life, man, or you saved my life by this, or and story after story after story. And I'm talking young, old, white, black, Spanish. Like, there's nobody that came through that line to meet Rich, like, always had some story of how he motivated them, how he inspired them, or whatever. It was just cool to see, like firsthand, me being there, to see the impact like the guy had on people. It was pretty awesome.
No, that is really cool. Hey, so when we were talking before, you mentioned a coach just he trained you, and then you got to a show, and he like left that day.
Yeah. So Josh Bryan, awesome dude. I still talk to him. He kind of, like, I don't want to say left the fitness industry, but he's also a huge gamer, huge gamer. And so he kind of like put like fitness on the back burner, and that's like what he does now. But yeah, so on that the show he prepped me for, and I was with I had gotten with 5%, and I was all happy, and I'm doing the show, and now I'm shredded, and all my Instagram pictures, I have no shirt on, I'm shredded. I got the 5%. I'm putting out, at this point in time, I'm putting a 5% logo on all my videos.
Oh yeah, you're pumped. You're like, fucking hey.
Videos and pictures and everything. Yes. So he lived in Texas, so he wasn't local. So we did our entire prep like by phone and pictures and everything. And he still brought me in just ridiculously. And the day of the show, it was in Daytona Beach, and I'm in the hotel, and we're going back and forth. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I left 5%." And I was kind of like, "Huh?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm going my separate ways, man." I was kind of like, "Oh, all right, like, where'd this come from?" But I didn't know anything about it. And he's like, "Oh, I'll tell you later," or whatever. But he ended up leaving. That was just kind of weird. And he told me like on the day of my show or whatever. And he ended up going with another supplement company like not too long after that. And he was with them for maybe like a year or so or two or something. But yeah, so that was kind of a weird thing. But yeah, so I was with 5% for almost like 3 years. And I had done that we were in 2017-ish, I guess, about. And that's my gym one morning, and I'm completely out of shape. Not, I say I'm out of shape, meaning like nowhere near like stage ready.
Stage ready.
Yeah.
Prepped. Yeah.
I'm in the gym one morning working out with my wife, and I see two guys that I competed with in 2015. So 2 years ago, they were at the one show where I did really well, where I did 4 classes. So I see these guys, and they're way younger than me. But it's literally like the first time I've seen them in at least like a year and a half. So we're like, "Oh, what's up, man?" This and that. They're getting ready to do a show. Like, "Yeah, you should do it." This and that. And I'm like, "When is it?" And they're like, "Oh, it's like 11 weeks." And most preps are long. I mean, depends what kind of shape you're in, but most people prep from 14, 16, 20 weeks out. Some even longer, depending again like how fat you might be and how what you have to lose or whatever. So we were like 11 weeks out, he said, and I'm like, but they're like gassing me up, they're like, "Oh, you should do it. We're all going to do it again." And so I talked to Tracy a little bit. I'm like, I wonder if I can do it. So that's when I heard Tini, who's a great friend of mine. I used to travel with him and his wife. Like I said, he was with 5% way before me, and he's still with them today. But every expo, I always traveled, me and him and his wife, Teresa, that we always traveled, like hotel, flight, everything together. And so I hit him up. I was asking him because he's been a coach and he's been like in the fitness industry for like 30 years, way back. I mean, he was with EAS and like Metrics or Metrics, whatever you call it. I know he coached people and all that. And just for my time with him, and we were great friends and all that. I shot him a text one day, like right when I saw these guys that same day, I think it was, or maybe the next day. And I wasn't asking him to coach me. I was just asking him his opinion. I go, hey man, do you think I could be stage ready in like 10 weeks? And he's like, well, let's give it a fucking shot. So I was like, I wasn't even asking him to coach me, but he's like, let's do it. And I go, all right. And I'm like, fuck, I'm in, let's go. So I went balls to the wall, man. 10-week prep, dying. Again, Jack's kind of I don't know what kind of style coach I want to call him. He knows I know how to work out and all that. He knew I knew what to eat. So we did the same thing. I don't want to say if it fits your macros, but Jack's a super, super clean eater himself. Super lean, shredded always. But we went off macros. So his whole prep with me was I do Saturday check-ins. This week, he emailed me over like his response to my pictures and weight and all that, but it would just be macros. He wants me to do, this many carbs and protein and fats on this day. We did a lot of carb cycling. That was kind of my first entryway, I guess. Not that I didn't do a little carb cycling before, but we went big at it. So it was different. Like I would run like certain macros 2 days a week, another macros 2 other days a week. Wednesdays I would do no carbs. I would get trace carb, and so I would just do like protein greens all day Wednesday. I did that all through prep, which I really like because it helps really get you down in that calorie deficit. Saturday would be check-ins, and almost every Saturday I'd have usually a cheat meal, almost the whole prep, just because my metabolism was going. And Sunday was kind of just like Sunday was kind of a weird day because he would just tell me to kind of keep it clean and keep it a little bit lower calorie, but he never really gave me restrictions on what to eat.
That was like a cheat day.
Yeah. What's that? Saturday was more like cheat day. Sunday was just like, don't be an asshole day. Eat sensible, I guess.
All right.
So we did that. I mean, a 10-week prep. I remember the last 2 weeks, I was doing 2-a-day cardios every day. I would go to the gym in the morning, work out. I would do like 30 minutes of cardio. And then every night I was going back to the gym and doing like 45 minutes on the stairs. And I remember the last 2 weeks, like, I would just like seeing stars on the competed nose, like those last week or two. Low calories, low carb, I had no energy. And, but I just was just grinding it out, man. I really wanted to see how I could do on a 10-week prep. Because for me, it was almost like half the time than my first 2 shows, because I had done the first show like 18 weeks, and then the second show was 20 weeks because I added 2 weeks. And then even when I prepped with Josh on my 3rd show, we kind of almost did a 20-week prep with him. So for me to do a 10-week prep, it was like another one of those goals I just threw. It was like a big challenge for me to try to do. And then anyways, did awesome at that show, took first place. And then I battled for the overall again. And I lost. So it's the second time I battled for the overall and lost. But anyway, so we did that show. And then not too long after that, I ended up leaving 5% before Rich died. Actually, right before Rich died. And that's when I left. And it was just kind of, a lot of it was changing. 5% sort of, I think there was some people were getting mad at other people too, or like, some people were getting jealous of who was getting attention, who wasn't.
So like the mentality just kind of.
Yeah, it was kind of turning into, for lack of better words. I mean, to me, it was starting to turn into like a circus in a way. And I love 5% because I've met a lot of great people that I'm still friends with today. And they treated me awesome, always treated me awesome to go. Like, you know what I mean? It was just time to move on. And I knew, or I had heard Cass Martin. A lot of people know who she is. She's pretty freaking huge on Instagram. I think she has like 2.3 million followers.
Yeah.
Super, super popular, and she's a pretty badass female. That lifts heavier than most guys I know, including me probably. But I knew I had met her at one of the Olympias a little bit. I was actually going to the bathroom, and I hardly knew her. But I knew one of the guys I love with her. He's like, she's so badass, this and that. And I hardly knew who she was. And I went to the bathroom one day, and I was passing her, and she was just sitting there talking to two other like girls that probably her friends or whatever. So I stopped and just started bullshitting with her a little bit, and then took a picture with her and all that, and introduced myself. That was like 2 years before this. I was with 5% when that happened. But anyways, when I was leaving 5%, I knew, or I had heard she was starting a company. So again, I reached a DM on Instagram and said, "Hey, you probably don't remember me. I'm sure you meet thousands upon thousands of people, but I said I talked to you like 2 years ago at the Olympia, and I said it looks like you're starting a supplement company. Do you plan on sponsoring anybody or bringing anybody along? If you are, I'd love to talk to you about it." And dude, same thing. Like I didn't hear back for like a month and a half, almost 2 months. And I didn't bother her again. I'm just like, she's probably like whatever, whatever. And literally one day out of nowhere, I'm going through my DMs. I see Cass Martin, and I was like, "Oh fuck, what's this?" And she was like, "Yeah, I do remember you." And she's like, "Yes, I am starting my own company. I'd love to talk to you or whatever." So I was like, perfect. And me and her started like a dialogue we probably went back and forth for like a month, before because she wasn't even starting the company yet. And I had then decided to leave 5%. So I left, and it was maybe literally like a couple weeks before Rich ended up, that happened with Rich, and he ended up dying. But anyway, she brought me on. She said, "This is what I have planned. This is what we're doing. I love if you want to come on. I'd love to bring you on with me." So I was like, "Yeah, I'm in," because I literally left 5% anyway. So I was looking for like a new home, and so she brought me on, and I started the company with her. Like I was the very first person she even posted when she started the company on the work ethic page, and then I didn't know it was going to be like this, but has a huge female fan base. But I was the only sponsor guy she ever brought on, which was kind of funny. So like it was me and like 25 girls, 20 girls, and so if you go back, I mean, they're still probably on my Instagram page way back, but like every expo, we'd have like an image or flyer, whatever you want to call it, image that we promoted for like the Arnold and the Olympia and the LA Fit Expo and all this stuff at Houston, the Houston or American Fit Expo. And it's literally like Cass and me, 12 other girls that were going to be at the booth or whatever. So every time these came out, it was just me and like 12, 13 girls on this image. And I would get DMs from all kinds of people like, "Dude, how did you land that? It's like the best gig ever." And I'm like, it is, but it's not. It's not like I'm single and young and like some of these girls are. I'm double their age. I'm like, it's not as cool as it.
I could be your dad. All right, put some clothes.
Yeah, seriously, that's what it was like. I'm like, yeah, it's cool, but it's like not really. So, but I was with her. So I was with her for like a year and a half, and I was with her, and that's kind of what led me into Action Sledge with Seth. I knew Seth prior from even my 5% days. I knew who he was. I didn't really know him well. I met him like back several years at either like the Arnold or the Olympia first. I don't remember. It might have been, it was with Jack Barantini, the guy that I was talking about that coached me, and he was with 5%. Me and him went by, and I think he had more of a little bit of a relationship, or he knew Seth a little bit, and we'd go by, and that's kind of how I met Seth. And so every expo that I would be at, I was just like anybody else. I was a fan of Seth. I followed him and his career, and followed him on YouTube or any videos he did. And I just thought he was a pretty badass dude. And I was just like a fan, like anybody away, you know, whatever expo we were at, I would sneak away and go find him. And he was always awesome. Like, I didn't know if he would even remember me. And, you know, I remember, I think 2 years in a row when he was with Blackstone maybe, or and then one year he was with Primeval, but, you know, there'd be a line of like, you know, 100 people waiting there for Seth. And I'd walk in and just catch his attention. He'd be like, hey, he'd like wave me in, and I'd come in and just bullshit with him for a second. You know, but he would, you know, I wouldn't wait in line is what I mean. It was awesome. He'd acknowledge me, wave me in real quick to bullshit and just say what's up and shoot the shit real quick. And
So
to
you
me
guys
right
ended up
away,
building a relationship.
yeah, it was awesome because I was like, it made me even like him that much more. You know, like, cause you know, I was a nobody. Like, he didn't really know me well. I mean, he knew who I was, I guess. But, you know, I was like anybody else. I was shocked that he recognized me from expo to expo to expo, because, you know, these guys shake 10,000 hands, you know, during
Oh
the
yeah.
expo. So but he would know me at every expo, and hey, what's up, and bullshit. And then when I was at 5%, and would bullshit with him. And then one year out in LA, this is when I met Bobby, is I was with Cass Martin at the time, and her brand, and we were there the day before the expo started. You know, the expo, the LA Fit Expo, I think was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday maybe. And so this was Thursday. Expo is pretty much empty. We were setting up our booth. I think like Cali Muscle was like right next to us. So I was bullshitting with him a little bit. But nobody's in the expo center really, but for the most part it was dead. And I see Seth and Bob walking, but I didn't really know who Bob was at the time. And so I see Seth, and again he recognized me. So I was like, hey, what's up? Fucking, we started bullshitting, and that's when he introduced me. He said, this is my business partner, you know, Bob. And that's when they,
Heterosexual life mate.
yeah, he wasn't even he wasn't using that line back then yet, but they were partners in All American Roughneck, obviously. And at the time, this is when Seth was with Primeval or whatever. So same thing. It was awesome. I sat there and like blitz, said, hey, let's grab some pictures. We took a picture and all that. And Bob was awesome. And then that weekend during the expo, when I would sneak away from the work ethic booth to walk around and talk to other guys that I knew, you know, I'd go by their booth, and same thing. I just sat there and bullshitted with him and Bob also. So it's like just, you know, year after year at the expos, building the relationship with him. And so in 2019, 2019, we were getting ready, you know, we were maybe like a month or two away from the Arnold. Seth had already started Axe and Sledge, and Seth at this time, Seth started following me on Instagram and stuff like that. And obviously I was following him a long time ago, but I had a DM one time from Mike, and Mike Roten, and I had no idea who Mike was at the time. And he reached out and just said, hey, my name is Mike Roten. I'm the owner of Axe and Sledge Supplements and All American American Made Nutrition. And what do you think? And Seth wanted me to reach out to you and talk to you or whatever about coming to work with us. And I was just like, I didn't know, you know, I think my response was, I was like, oh, that's awesome. I'm currently, you know, with Cass Martin and her brand. And Mike was like, I know. He was like, we know, we still want to talk to you. So I was like, all right, cool, you know. And so we kind of like tentatively set up a phone call that never happened even. We just never hooked up. It was like, I don't know if he was going to call me. I don't know what happened, but never really and it kind of just like flew by the wayside. So I was like, all right, whatever. The Arnold was coming up, and I think I'd made a post like kind of promoting her brand, and, you know, come see us at the booth. And, you know, we were like 1 week out from the Arnold, and I saw a comment on my post from Mike again. And Mike's like, hey, come see me at the Arnold. So I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, finally, I'll get to talk to these guys. And Seth had already kind of taken care of me. Like, you know, I was with her and getting all the free supplements I wanted, and clothing and everything. I was at the time already buying some Axe and Sledge stuff because I wanted to try it. Just because again, I was a huge fan of Seth, and I knew his stuff would probably be great. And so I bought some and liked it. And then I was going to kind of put in a bigger order And Seth actually messaged me one day and was like, dude, wait a minute. We'll take care of you. And he's like, let me at least get you a code or something. And I think he gave me like a 25% off code or whatever. And he's like, let me know when you order something. And that was one day, and I put in like a decent sized order because I just wanted to try more of the products. So I already kind of had that relationship with Seth. And so anyway, so went to the Arnold, and even before the Arnold, I talked to Tracy, my wife, a little bit. I was like, man, I wonder if these guys really want to bring me on. I'm like, even though, I was with her for about a year and a half, I was like, again, she's super popular and super huge. It's a female fan base more so. I had already been following Seth closely in X and Sledge, no brainer. It's kind of a better fit, obviously.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So I was like, we'll see what they say. If it sounds good, I'm like, I kind of already in my head was like, I think I'll leave if it's something good, obviously. Yeah. So on that Friday of the Arnold, which is packed, and I went by their booth a couple times, and I talked to Bob a lot. And again, Bob knew who I was or whatever. And so Mike wants to talk to you. But I'd go by, and Mike just wasn't there. And he was either at the American Made Nutrition booth, or I think he even had some meetings like wholesalers or retailers or whatever. So it ended up being funny because on that Friday, I probably went by the booth like 4 different times. And it got to the point where I'd come up and Bob just like look at me and shake his head. He's not here again, man. Like I kept missing him. Like he would be there, I guess. And like, cause I'd show up and Bob go, dude, he just left like 20 minutes ago. So, cause Mike was bouncing around also. Right, dude. Like after like 4 times, I'll come by. I'll try tomorrow. So on Saturday, again, I snuck away from our booth for a little bit, and I went over and found Mike. And Access Sledge booth was crazy. It was loud, huge lines for Seth and everything. So Mike was like, let's go somewhere quiet so we can talk. So me and him went off and talked, and it was awesome because he said, we're fairly new. We want, he kind of told me their plans of how big they want to do. And he said, the thing that made me feel great, awesome was, he goes, we have meetings all the time. Obviously, he said, myself and Pat and Mike and Bob and Seth. And he goes, Bob and Seth bring you up in our meetings all the time. They say we need a guy like him. And, that alone is awesome. But I remember I was laughing because Mike was like, that's good, because he's like, Bob and Seth don't talk about anybody. They trust. He's like, for them to talk good about you is a great thing. Like he kind of joked about that. So I was like, that's cool.
Super small and tight. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it made me feel good that I'm like, okay, Bob and Seth are bringing me up in the meetings with these guys, with Mike and Pat, who I didn't know them at all. I just knew Seth and Bob. So for him to tell me that they bring my name up, I was like, dude, that's awesome. And again, yeah, he kind of mentioned that how Seth keeps his circle pretty tight, and and we talked about it before, like Seth even on his podcast, like, Seth said he doesn't fuck with a lot of people. And, he said he wants everybody to, I always hear him say, he wants everybody to eat. You're just not going to eat at his table.
Yeah.
Which, so it's cool that I was being kind of included in that. So Mike went over everything, what their plans for me, what they wanted me to do, like the stuff they wanted to include me in, my role with the company. And then he made an offer to everything they're going to give me and all that on my end. So I was just like, right then and there, I was kind of like, I'm in, man. Because it sounded great. Not just from what I was getting, but like the role that I would be playing. I was like, I'm be a bigger piece of the puzzle than I am now, So yeah. I was like, I wanted to be in with that. I want to help the company grow and help them as much as I can. And but I was like, this sounds awesome. And I could tell it was a pretty tight, close knit group. You know what I mean? It's just like, you're just another person. You're just a number, whatever. I could tell just from talking to Mike that it wasn't like that. So, I said right there on the spot, I was kind of like, give me like a week or two to once the Arnold passes, and I'll talk to Cass and just kind of tell her like, I'm going to go my separate ways or whatever. So Mike was like, yeah, take your time, whatever. So yeah, so it was like a week or two later, I talked to her and just said, thanks for everything, that you guys have done, whatever. And I'm just going to go my separate ways. And she was great with it. And then I actually Sledge. So that's kind of what's led me here. And then I did, like I said, I did another show just this past year, which after 2017, I thought I was going to kind of be done. Which my wife always shows me that you said that last time, because then when I just did this show, I'm like, I'm done. She's like, yeah, you said that in 2017 also. But so, I'd gotten with Axe and Sledge, and then I just, for some reason, I wanted to go. I still hadn't won an overall. In 2017 with Jack, I did another show, and I took first place in that also. And then I battled for the overall, and I lost. So at this point, I had battled. I have all these first place wins, and I battled for 3 overalls because I wanted a big ass, the big ass sword. Have you seen, most of the shows are big, like Game of Thrones sword. And I've battled for it 3 times. I've lost all 3 times. I'm like,
it's like the ultimate trophy on our level, right?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm always right there, but I can't get it. So I'm like, I want to do another show, and for no reason whatsoever, I'm just, and plus, honestly, I kind of did it to get back in shape again, because I could feel myself kind of slipping again, working out, but just not eating great. So I'm like, I want to get shredded. Let's do this and see if I can come in even bigger and fuller and gain a couple more pounds. So I got with Jack again, and I said, let's do this, man. So I did a prep with him using all Axe and Sledge products. Pretty much ate like the chicken I use from the chicken pot, and all Axe and Sledge products, some Amen products as well. And then I ended up doing the Florida State show, which is a really big show. And then they don't really recognize men's physique, but in masters too, but in bodybuilding and the figure, you basically call it Mr. Florida, because it's the Florida State show. So it's pretty popular, pretty big show. So I'm like, let's do that one. And so I did that, and it was a cool show because this is my mom and my sister were here, which they've never been to a show before. My mom had never even. She lives several hours away, well, only like 4 hours away, but she has just never came up for my shows because she hates driving up here by herself and all that. And but my sister was down in Naples, Florida at the time, and they came up so they could come to the show. So it was cool to have them there. Obviously, my girls and Tracy, they're always there, whatever. But it was a cool show because my sister's here for the first time. My mom's never seen me compete. So we do the show, and we do pre-judging.
And this was men's bikini, right?
Yeah. And so we, my oldest daughter had a big soccer tournament that she couldn't miss. But I'm like, go to the tournament in the morning, and then we're just telling your coach you're missing the night, the later game. There's no, so we got with her coach, and she was a team captain at the time even. So obviously it's kind of bad for the team captain to be missing a tournament game and all that play. And so she missed the prejudging. So I went to prejudging, and I competed in 3 classes this show in 2019. I did men's physique, masters, 40 and up, and then I did men's physique 35 and up, and then I did the open class against all the young dudes, right? No matter what, every show I've done open because I like to see how I fare against all the young bucks, right? And same thing, I could literally be some of their dads. I'm 44 now, and I'm competing 21 years old, and who just, I don't want to say I can't compete with them because I have, but it's like the waist I can't compete with anymore because it's like being as old as I am, I just don't have a skinny waist like some of those guys have tiny ass waist still because they're 21 years old. But I always do open no matter what, just to see how I fare. But so we did the morning show, and I thought I did okay, and it was a really different show for me because in all the previous shows I've done, I've kind of had an idea how I did. Even in like 2017 and 15, like I'm like, in some of the classes anyways, I'm like, I won this. Like I'm taking first place. Or, you know, I would know like, okay, I probably didn't win, but I'm top 3. And I've had that at least that mental, or, you know, when I came off stage in past shows, and then I've even had people tell me like, oh, you're taking that or whatever, you know, people that are watching that I know, other competitors even or whatever. This show was really odd for me because I did think I was okay. You know, I was lean, I was big. I was up about 3 pounds from 2017, and I looked great, I guess, or whatever. I felt like I looked great, but I mean, I just wasn't positive at all. And so after prejudging, you know, I went and got a burger. I didn't do any fries or anything like that, but we actually came home because the show was not that far away. So I came home between prejudging finals. My daughter now, who missed prejudging, was home, and I flat out told her in first, like in anything, in all 3 classes. I'm like, I don't think I did well. And my wife kept telling me, I think you at least are taking one first, you know. I'm like, I don't know, because a lot of guys look really good. And but I always remember telling my daughter, I'm like, Dad, he didn't do it this time. Like I didn't do it. And so then we go to the night show. Now she's there, obviously, and again, my mom's sister, all the family, and Tracy's parents came to the night show and stuff, and a bunch of other friends and stuff. And I end up winning 40 and up, 35, and then I win the overall for the first time ever. I win the overall for the show, and then in the open class, I took third. You know, against all the
Which
young.
isn't bad at all because it's all the
Oh,
young bucks, you know.
oh, so yeah, so I took third, and it was a big show. Like every class, you know, had some of the classes had like 12, 13, 14 people, and I'm, you know, taking first place. And so not only it was great because I took the 40 and up, but for me to take the 35 and up, which was cool because you know, I beat all those guys younger than me, and then for the whole Masters or whatever, and then yeah, and then for third place in the Open, I was super happy with because I didn't even know if I would get that, and again, the guys who took first and second, you know, like I just couldn't compete, like, you know, rightfully so. You know, some people get mad at their placing, but I mean, there's no way like I should have took a higher place than third. Um, but yeah, so that was my last show in 2019. It was awesome. But it was just a weird show because I honestly did not think I did well. And to date, it was probably just for the fact that I won the overall finally, it was probably like the coolest show that I've done. And if it is my last, I kind of went out, you know, for me, I kind of went out on top, or I went out a good way, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. I mean, and then.
Hey, so do you have like the same judges on these shows? Well, not, I mean, obviously not all of them, but majority of the time is this the same judges or is it different?
Some of them, there's certain like regions. Yeah, some judges are the same and some aren't. And because I want to say the judges go by region. So like say down in Miami, there might be some different judges. But I know some of the judges travel a lot, you know, into all different cities around Florida and stuff. So if I do a show like in Daytona, there might, you know, say there's 5 or 6 judges, and then I do a show in Orlando, there might be like 2 judges that are the same, and then,
Okay.
you know, 3 or 4 different ones. There's a couple that, you know, I've seen at different shows, but most of the time it's not all the same panel at all.
So, I mean, yeah, do you think that they remember you from the other show and they're like, okay, I've seen him at this show, he did fairly well, so they're expecting a little more out of you the next show, or?
I don't know. I don't know either because I don't compete that often. Being that I've had 2-year layoffs and everything, I know one of the guys who's a promoter knows me, and I'm friends with him, and he's giving me. He's a judge, and he also promotes his own big show. He's a good guy too because he's all me tips and feedback, which is awesome. Even at shows he's not judging at, he's pulled me aside backstage and said, "You need to do this. You need to twist more." You know, almost gave me some tips and help on posing and stuff like that. Or and he's told me flat out like, "Oh, you look better this morning. You're not as tight at the night show." And very, you know, like brutally honest, which is what you want.
Yeah.
When you're competing, you never want somebody to give you bullshit, sugar coated. You know what I mean? You want to hear, even if you don't like what they're saying, you want the truth. Um, because sometimes people tell you what you want to hear instead of what you need to hear. I always want to hear the reverse. Like, dude, you suck.
Yeah. So you said you joined up with Axe and Sledge. Was there any like, what was their first initial? Hey, this is what we want you to do. So is it just promoting, or you're gonna be in charge of the ambassador?
Yeah, so when Mike went over stuff, he talked about that was way before we did anything with the demo crew, but they had already had that idea. And Mike said, we kind of want you to head up our, like, at the time he just said a type program that we're going to do, but we want to make it different than every other company. He said, we want you to kind of help run the Facebook groups. And when I started, I want to say the Axe and Sledge, not the demo groups, I was still way before that. The Axe and Sledge Facebook group, I think it might have had 2,000 or 1,800, something like that, people in it. And now, I think it's got whatever, 25,000 people in it.
Yeah.
That's grown obviously a lot in the last year. But yeah, he just went over it. He went over kind of what my role would be. They were going to do as far as, compensating me with everything and what I would be getting and stuff like that. And so he kind of just went over all that stuff. And then it's actually turned out to be even, without going into tons of detail about it, it's actually turned into way more, than I anticipated, even both compensation wise, stuff that I get, in addition to the stuff I'm doing, which is awesome. Like I want to do, and those guys know that and they want me to do basically. And they have, they've included me in a lot of stuff. Flying me up there all the time. I mean, and I've been with them now a little bit over a year, but in the first 11 months, I think it was, they've flown me up there 6 times.
Jeez.
And just including me into that family. I've been to their houses, like Super Bowl Sunday, I sat there at Pat's house with Mike and drank and watched the Super Bowl and eat and, and all that stuff. So, I know everybody's wives, I know their kids and all that. So like I've been welcomed into that circle with open arms and then just the way they include me in everything. And like I said, like, the piece of the puzzle that I am is great. I'm very fortunate and grateful that they've given me all this stuff.
Yeah, and that mentality is probably totally different than Cass Martin, and nothing bad about them. It's just the amount of fuckery you see constantly with them. I'm sure that it's just,
Yeah, and I've heard them say it themselves. Like what you see with them is, I mean, what you see is what you get. It's like, and Jason Christie, who's, one of the demo crew guys, he can attest to this. He won the first contest that we did. And I met him at the airport, and he spent 2 days, 3 days with us. When we were up there, he can tell you it's just a fun atmosphere. Seth pretty much fucks with everybody. Mike fucks with everybody. They, and Seth has said it. They like to work hard, but they like to play hard also. So, and it's the truth. Everybody has a role. Everybody works hard. Everybody gets the job done. And at the same time, though, those guys have a shitload of fun doing it. They make everything fun. I mean, you obviously with the videos they do and the shit Seth does. And a lot of like the little spoof videos, like the homemade video, and getting Darcel involved, and it's like that's who they are as a company. So they out of the box that a lot of companies in this industry don't do or won't do, and I think that's what draws so many people to them. It's like they're not really trying to be anything they're not. They are who they are, and if you like it, great. If you don't, great.
yeah, they just keep it real. That's one thing that a lot of us admire about them. It's like they show you how hard they fucking work, but then it's like, okay, hey, this is who we are. They show their personal side. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So we ended up.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's not like.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say it's not. Nothing they do is like an act. I mean, it's what you see. That's like really what goes on there every day.
Yeah. So we ended up getting on the Demo Crew Facebook group and posted for questions, right? Ask the demo crew for questions. Well, I'd like to get to that in a second. But first, I've been seeing a lot of questions asked because you guys just started promoting Demo Crew Elite members, and a big question going out there is, hey, what does it take to become a Demo Crew Elite member? That's from a lot of Demo Crew members.
So we just we promoted, or whatever you want to say, promoted 8 people for Demo Crew Elite, and I kind of feel bad for them too, like, because we had a lot of things planned for the Arnold. I mean, in general, we had a lot of stuff planned that was going to be awesome for the booth, for the private Demo Crew meetup, and then we were going to announce the Demo Crew Elite people there, and so everything got really jacked up, obviously, because of that. But yeah, so in the Demo Crew Elite, we picked, we had a few different conference calls, or whatever, with myself and Carly and Mike, and Shane actually was on too. And then of course Mike, talks, he relays everything back with Seth, and we all kind of picked the Demo Crew Elite, I guess. And the people that we picked, were people that stood out to all of us. Now, and this is my answer, I guess. So I'm not speaking for Mike or Seth or Bob or anybody, but I think what we were looking at were just people that, I mean, I would say there's one set criteria, because it's going to be kind of different for every. We're looking for people that are repping the brand, repping the products, repping the clothes, helping out in the Facebook groups, both like the Demo Crew Facebook page and the Access Sledge page. When we notified the 8 people, myself and Carly called them all 8 of them separate, on the phone, and talked to them, and I told all 8 of them, everyone on every phone call, I said, we picked you guys for a reason. We just want you. And when I say like helping out in those Facebook groups, a lot of the guys I've seen, every now and then you get like something negative in that group, or you get some asshole talking shit to somebody. I've seen many of those people that we promoted or whatever, right away jump on that person being an asshole, and kind of set them straight, or they might notify me or Carly like what's going on, and we can like get them out of that group or whatever. But like stuff like that, just helping others in general, whether it's about working out, whether it's about diet, training, whether it's about the Access Sledge products. And again, they're busy on both Instagram and Facebook, posting videos, posting pictures, posting Access Sledge stuff, people that are being motivational, people that are being inspiring. So it's kind of like, for me anyways, it's kind of all of that stuff. And again, that's my answer. And I would think, Mike and Seth and all those guys kind of agree. It's got to be somebody that's like a positive person and kind of doing a little bit of everything. So, I just threw like 10 things at you, but that's kind of what it is. Anyways, to me, it's somebody that's the whole complete package, if you will. And it does, I know, and I've gotten this before, and you may have, or I know for a fact, I've had this conversation with Mike. It's not just like all about sales. So if somebody could, sell $500, $600 a month in products or something with their code, but they don't do anything else, that's not going to make you like elite. Again, we're looking for somebody that does a lot of everything that I said, not just like, so sales don't, I'm not going to say they don't matter, but that's not like a huge piece to the puzzle.
Yeah, so you could have like a whole bunch of sales. It's like, okay, well, that's cool, but you could either be buying the product, but I mean, you got to live the part. Like what I always say on a lot of my podcasts is, being part of Access Sledge Demo Crew isn't about the product. I mean, it's a little bit about the supplement, but it's not totally about the supplement. It's a lifestyle. Being a hardworking motherfucker. Like, I mean, it's a lifestyle. We're out there to help people, not just the demo crew members or not just Action Sledge individuals, but anybody that watches your videos or sees your posts is like, you should be helping motivate everybody. And I mean, it's on a global scale. I mean, we're all at tough times right now with the quarantine and the COVID-19 coronavirus, and we should be sticking out, motivating individuals to better their lives. You know what I mean? As a demo crew, because I mean, it's about the supplements, but it's not. It's a lifestyle, and we're all living it.
Yeah, and like all of us have heard Seth talk. Seth uses the expressions for he's looking for good motherfuckers. And that's kind of what it is. It's like we're looking for good people. It's like, and going off that, even like you could be doing some of the things that I just said, even, and you could be a complete asshole. That's not going to get you demo crew lead. Also, I mean, so we're looking for good people that rep the brand in a good way, all around it, and do all the things like me and you just said. So that, and it's probably not the answer. Like, people that are asking the question or listening to this, they probably want to know specifics, and there's not really, I don't think, specifics. I know we've talked about kind of trying to put together a criteria, but again, I think it's going to be a list of kind of a lot of the things I just went over. So we're looking for the people that we bumped up already. We're literally people that stood out in all of our minds. Like, when we were on the phone call, like, I rattled off names, Carly rattled off names, Mike rattled off names, and they were all kind of the same names. So that's when we knew, like, okay, we're looking at the same people. These are the people that are standing out to me. These are the same people that are standing out to Mike, to Carly, to Seth, to Bob, to Pat, to Shane. So it's like we see the same name. So, and another thing is, as I've told people, like, you have to be busy, or not, be active, and consistent. Like, so all those people, as and you're active yourself, it's like we see those people posting, we see those people chiming in, we see those people commenting, we see those people helping, and that's what I mean. So those people stick out to you because you see them all the time. Like, oh shit, this guy's really working, or this girl's really working, they're busting their ass, they're helping. And so you stick out like that to us. It's like, I know, I don't remember the name, but I know Carly had a DM and somebody that was kind of upset they didn't get it or something like that. They actually voiced their opinion to Carly, like, an email, and Carly didn't know who he was. And Carly messaged me, and I'd never even seen the name before. And I'm not saying anything bad about the person, but it's like, if me or Carly have never even seen your name, like, I don't know how you would be demo crew elite. We don't even know who you are. So it's like, you have to be out there enough for some of us to at least see who you are. And that comes from being an active member of the demo crew.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think I got 2 messages that actually, like, stuck out to me. They're like, "Oh, hey, are you upset that you didn't get elite?" Or, I mean, but I'm thinking, like, actually, one of those guys, he messaged me on Facebook, and I'm like, I don't know who this is, and I look at it, and one of them I knew, and or not knew personally, but knew just by his posts and stuff. But yeah, the other guy, I'm like, who is this? So I go on the Action Sledge page, and you could search their name and see what the recent posts are, And I look on that, and it's like, man, this guy's last post was like a month and a half ago. It's like, that's why I don't know who he is, and because I'm on that page all the time. I'm on the demo crew page, and but those names stick out, and that's like every single elite member that you guys promoted. I mean, I'm not upset about it because I 100% agree with it. Those guys work their asses off on there, and as soon as you put them out there, it's like, I know every single person on here, every single 8 of them, just because of how. I mean, some of them inspired me, and I mean, you notice them; they stuck out. So, I mean, I'm not upset at all, and I don't think anybody should be, because I mean, those guys, they deserved it, 100%, 110%. So.
Yeah, I mean, and we can only, this is the first time we did it, the first wave, or whatever you want to call it, of people that we did it for. I mean, there'll be more down the road, but I mean, look how long it's taken us from the beginning of the demo crew to now to just do that. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I mean, and to go off that, it's like if people are super upset because of it, and now they're in fuck this, I'm not going to do anything anymore, but it get delete. That goes back to what you were saying. It's like, are you really in this for the right reasons then, or not? Or are you just trying to get recognized as that, or do you like the Action Sledge company, the All American Roughneck company? You know, are you really trying to be, part of this? You know what I mean? So it's like it kind of goes back to like what I was saying, even when I was trying to get the 5%. It's like, I emailed them like 4 times. I didn't even hear a peep from them for 4 months. Doing what I was doing. It kept my nose down and kept working out, kept being active on Instagram, and eventually it paid off. So it's like, you know, after a month, I could have already, I could have said, well, fuck this company. They're not going to bring me on or something like that. And it's just, I didn't because I believed in the company and I believed in products and stuff like that. So, you gotta kind of ask yourself, if your attitude wavers, you got to kind of ask yourself, well, do you really stand behind the company then and what we're doing and everything else? So,
Yeah, like why are you here? Why are you here? Why do you do this? You gotta remember why you do it. You know what I mean? I mean, at
yeah,
first you're like, oh, cool, I'm an ambassador for somebody, but I mean, it grows on you. Just the mentality of being on the page, just seeing what's being posted. It's like, I mean, it grows on you. It makes you change as a person. Just listening to Seth Frosey, you're very inspiring with your social media, and you have a pretty big following now. But I mean, it all when you surround yourself with those people, you become those people. You know what I mean?
yeah, oh yeah,
It just you just gotta think back, like, hey, why did I do this, or why do I love doing this, regardless if you got a lead or not. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly, yeah,
So, anyways, Dean, if you want to get to the questions,
yeah.
we got quite a bit. I think it's gonna be good for the demo crew. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right. So I apologize if no one wants their name out here, but well, this is how we're doing it.
Can you see me still?
Yeah, I do. So if you
Okay, because I don't.
so if you can't see me, you go put your mouse over the picture, and there's these little tabs that shows like two little lines, and then there's the one. Click on the
Got
two, and it'll separate.
yeah, I was gone. So I just want to make sure.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we'll go off of Steve, right? Started with the top one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd love to hear about the first time you met Seth. I'm sure all of us would. Not sure if that's been told before. If it has, I missed it.
Um. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I think the first time I met him was probably at the Arnold. I know I have some pictures. I have some pictures that I don't even know what we were talking about. Where me and him are like, there's one where we're both like shaking hands, like we were giving high five, and we're both like lean back and we're both fucking laughing or something. I don't even remember what we were talking about. But there's not really any crazy story. Again, I think the first time I met him was just being introduced to him by Jack Barantini, and then just bullshitting with him for a little bit. And then, like I said, it was kind of just expo after expo, just going to find him, and then building the relationship and bullshitting with him like anybody else. And that's my advice to anybody really in this industry. um, because a lot, like I'm friends with or talk to a lot of people in the industry that are, whatever you want to call them, influencers or big names or whatever. And the way I've done that is just doing that, like being in these expos and then going over and just bullshitting with them. And then you kind of, begin that relationship of like talking to them at the expos, talking to them on Instagram, and then every expo you go bullshit with them, take a picture, catch up, whatever. So I've formed relationships and friendships with a lot of people in this industry just from doing that. So that's my advice to everybody too. It's like if you want to meet somebody, just go do it and introduce yourself and try to, they say first impressions are everything. Just try to talk to that person, him or her, or some, if it's some fitness icon you like. Don't ever be. You got to remember too. Every one of these people are the exact same as you. Like, you know what I mean? None of these people are super special anyway or anything like that. Everybody's just a normal person. It's just that they're, maybe they're more successful in the fitness world or more popular than you or something like that. But it doesn't mean they're better than you or anything like that. So that's it. I mean, that's kind of like how I've formed this relationship with Seth that I've had for 5 years now or whatever it's been. And that's what's led me to what I'm doing today because of that. I mean, if I didn't meet Seth, I mean, forget meeting him. If I didn't form the relationship of going to talk to him and meeting him every expo and bullshitting with him for 10 minutes, expo after expo after expo, and then, a little bit of bullshitting here and there on Instagram, do you think I would be with Axe and Sledge right now? Probably not, so it's, um, like they contacted me, which is an awesome thing. I mean, that's what you want in this industry. Instead of you trying to hound companies like, hey, I want to be a rep for you, or I want to be an ambassador for you. These guys came to me and said, hey, we want to talk to you about working with us. There's no better feeling than that than a company coming to you and asking you to come work with them, and then to be sponsored person. And as of right now, I'm the only sponsored, as well as Krista. To this day, Seth has only sponsored two people, and it's me and Krista as far as like fully sponsored people. So, I mean, that's it. Kind of went off on a tangent there, but I mean, that's what I just tell people that though. I mean, don't be afraid to go bullshit with people. I mean, like, especially in this industry, relationships are everything, and social media. Like, social. The word social is in the title, so please, just be active and bullshit with people.
Yeah, and put that impact on somebody like you put that impact on Seth, where he remembered you. I mean, now
Yeah,
look where you're at now. Best decision you made in your life, right?
yeah, it is, man. These guys have treated me above and beyond, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right. So Michael, I'd like to know what you've noticed is different in the U.S. and EU market for subs training, and what influences it more. Nothing much.
I I don't really know. I mean, to as far as like the U.S. and other countries like that, right? That's what he's saying.
That's kind of what I got out of it when I read it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
as far as like training and influences, I have no idea, but I know just from conversations I've had with Pat and Seth, supplement wise, it's a big difference because there's a lot of ingredients that we can use here in the U.S. that you can't use in other countries, and
And vice versa.
yeah. So I know some of the stuff in like our sleep aid, and I don't know what countries they are, but like I know we're probably gonna have like melatonin in our sleep aid. I know there's a country, I don't know if it's like Australia, it might be Australia. I don't think we can have melatonin in there, even though melatonin you can buy anywhere. You can go buy it to the drugstore and buy it right off the
Yeah.
shelf here. Agmatine, which is used in tons of products. It's a normal ingredient used in tons of products by every company. I think like the UK, and again, I might be wrong with the countries, but like in another country, they don't allow agmatine. So as far as the differences, I know Pat, who's like the main formulator for us, he has to come up with, that's like the challenge for any formulator, I guess, for any company, is products that we can use here in the US every day. If you're going to sell to another market like Australia, the UK, or wherever, they have to come up with other ingredients that are probably going to try to mimic the same effects of the ingredient that they don't allow in their country. So, but I mean, that's probably the only differences I know. And I don't know, I'm not going to try to answer the question like I know what I'm talking about because I just don't know much about a lot of the other countries and what goes on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, just judging by how many bodybuilders we have in like Canada and the UK, you know, um, I think it's kind of the same kind of industry as it is in the US. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, all right. Next one from Aaron. I'm a 41-year-old male who was always the small guy growing up. It wasn't until recently that I've had people coming up asking if I was competing this year. Honestly, I never thought it possible, but would be a dream to step onto that stage. What are some things you wish you would have learned up front? And then second part of it is as far as pushing yourself past your limits and barriers and even staying motivated during this time of crisis.
All right. Well, 41. I mean, like I just said, I mean, I just competed at 44 again. So, you're definitely not too old. I mean, I tell everybody that. That's one of the coolest things that's happened to me is being competing. That I've done these shows, and most have been over into my 40s. One of the coolest things that I get, especially during prep season, is I get DMs from a lot of guys that are our age, right, my age, and there's no better feeling in the world than getting a DM of somebody saying like, "Hey, man, you've motivated me to take back my health or take back my life or get in shape." But it doesn't even have to be competing, but it's like one of the greatest things in the world, to get messages like that, and I get a lot of them every time I've competed, from people I don't even know, and so I tell everyone, man, if you're like Aaron's 41, I mean, you're definitely not too. It only takes, depending on how out of shape you are. Like I said, most people can prep for a show and step on stage, let's say in 20 weeks. So, you know, 16, 18, 20 weeks, even if it's 24 weeks, prep for a show and do it. Like I said, 41, I just did it at 44. And there's people, I mean, they have classes that are men's physique over 50 or bodybuilding over 50. So age is nothing. It's just you having to set the goal and do it. As far as like things that I wish I would have learned up front, I would say to make sure you hire a coach, which I did, but that's number one. Make sure you get a good coach that knows what they're doing, that has like a proven track record, like somebody that's produced results and winners. And I always tell everybody to just trust the process. Even me, there's times in the prep where you second guess some of the stuff your coach might tell you. Again, put the trust in the coach. I always say trust the process. And then just diet. Diet is king, man. You have to. You can never outtrain a bad diet. You always hear people say that, and it's 100% true. I mean that's really like food is king too, man. That's another thing I think people underestimate. Like a lot of people, especially nowadays, like people think they can like jump on gear and it's going to change everything, and it's like I think people underestimate the power of food more than anything. I really do. It's
You're
like,
being a snack king. All right.
yeah, yeah. I underestimated it in the wrong way. But I mean, that's really all I got. I mean, just 40. I mean, I'm saying to you, Aaron, 41, man, go do it. Just make the decision to go do it.
All right. So, John Wilson, we covered a couple of these questions in the last podcast, but we had some errors and anyways. So, what can you say you've taken away from working with people like Seth and Rich? And how do you use that in your daily life?
Both of them, I like the fact that they did their own thing. As far as both of them have their own companies. They again, being underneath another company, you might not be able to do. Seth might not be able to be who he is or what he wants to do. So I admire that they both had their own companies, do their own thing. I love the fact that they, out of in an industry full of so much bullshit, like these guys don't hide behind anything. Both of them kind of say and do what they want. Um, whether people agree with that or not, or agree with what they say all the time or not, they don't really care. Not that they don't care about the people, but I mean, I mean, they don't. I like that they just say what they are, and they're real people. Instead of being so politically correct with everything or afraid of offending anybody, they were Rich, obviously he's passed, but I mean, they're just real people. Um, I mean, that's probably the thing that I've taken away from them both, is just to be as transparent as I can be, and just be myself. And we've talked about that. I mean, Seth have talked about that in Instagram and everything else. And then how do I use that in your daily life? And I kind of just answered that. It's like I just, is everybody going to like me? No. Some people hate me, probably. Some people like me, probably. Like it, but you know what I mean? It's like the people that actually know me and have talked to me, and people that I've helped, 100 people in my DMs every day that I answer questions for, like people that have talked to me know what kind of person I am, and that. So those are the people that matter to me. Somebody that might be, think I'm an asshole or not or whatever. They probably never even talked to me, or they've, never asked me for help or whatever. So they just don't know me. So I'm in the same mindset of like how Rich and Seth are. It's just like some people like you, some people don't. I mean, it is what it is. And I use that. I just try to be my own person and be as real as I possibly can and be as transparent as I possibly can. And I try to help as many people as I can. So that's the way I kind of apply it to my own daily life. I don't think I'm better than anybody. I don't think I'm bigger than anybody. I don't need bigger muscle wise, just bigger, whatever. I'm the same person as anybody else sending me a DM. I'm an old, middle-aged, old, beat up soccer dad. So, so I mean, um, yeah. So does that answer that one? I guess.
I think so. And I gotta say, Dean, like one thing that I admire about you is you're so humble with everything that you're doing and everybody. You know what I mean? And you're probably the most you reach out the most compared to, I mean, everybody else that I know. Even guys like us that don't have like the huge following like you do. Um, like you're always reaching out and you're always commenting back and you're humble with everybody. You know what I mean? Whether they want to like you or not. So that's
Yeah.
something that I took from you is like I'm trying to mold my way into that.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I get so many questions every day on Instagram. It's like some of them I know many people wouldn't even respond to or answer because of the questions that they are, or again, sometimes people ask me a question they could have just looked up on a website and taken 2 seconds to answer, but I just try to answer every single person and help people. Um, I mean, I just try to be transparent with people. I think people like real people. And like I said, as far as being humble, it's just like, dude, I know what I am. And I know, and I'm saying that meaning like I'm nothing special. So it's like, to me, it's not even being humble. It's just like, dude, I'm just like everybody else watching this or listening to this. I'm just like a dude that likes to eat a shitload of food and snacks. I like to work out. I like social media. I like using supplements, and I mean, I've worked hard to get where I'm at, and I just have fun doing it. And some might have been hard work, some of it might have been luck. Again, some of it is, I think, with my building relationships along the way, and it's led me to where I am today. So to me, it's not about being humble, it's just about being a good dude, a normal dude. And, you know what I mean? I'm just the average Joe that's closer to the inside of fitness than a lot of people, I guess, or whatever. So, but thank you for saying that, though.
All right. So next one, the teas are awesome. What was the motivation behind them? And is there more coming?
Oh yeah, well it's funny. Yeah, I just dropped a new tea yesterday. The serial
Oh, I know. I saw that. That
killer
was
one.
pretty good.
But the teas, yeah, I just put an order today. So for all the shirts that have came in since Friday. Yeah, the what was the motivation behind them? Just funny shirts, man. Like my very first shirt that I did was the Diet Starts Tomorrow shirt. That stemmed from me and a guy named Savage. Chris is his name, but he's Savage 24/7 on Instagram. Big, huge, strong guy. He's a part owner of Tiger Life Energy, and there was maybe like 2 years ago. I don't know when it was when I did the first shirt. We were always eating such bad food, like I do now, pizzas and cakes and ice cream, and we were we were in the Instagram stories. We were putting hashtag Diet Starts Tomorrow. Everybody knows the whole like Diet Starts Monday or Diet Starts Tomorrow, saying that everybody says. And so we were doing that so much and doing hashtag Diet Starts Tomorrow, and then other people were doing it themselves and tagging me in it. And I just thought, like, I had never done any shirts before or anything. I just thought that'd be a cool shirt. I think people would wear it. And so I did the Diet Starts Tomorrow shirt with the donut on it, and it took off like crazy. And that has been a great shirt. And I just went from there. And that shirt too. We talked last week about this. It's like one of my coolest moments was with Jay Cutler wearing it one time, and I just happened to be watching Jay Cutler's story one time. He's in his kitchen wearing my Diet Starts Tomorrow shirt. So having 4-time Mr. Olympia, I mean, everybody loves Jay. He's wearing my shirt. Seth has been, he's worn my shirt a bunch of his stories, like Jeff Long, like other people, that have had it has been pretty cool. And then I did like the Cardi No shirt with the cookie. Did the Red Eye Crew one, the cheat meals every damn day. I did a bunch, not too long ago, I did the I love cheat meals. That's my fucking problem. And I did Dad Bod. Dad Bod shirt's been huge too. And then everybody knows I like to pound like multiple bowls of cereal at
Yep.
night. So I did the Serial Killer shirt, and I just dropped that one Friday. And I think it was sold just under 50 shirts already in like a day and a half. So yeah, so I mean that's it. They're just fun shirts. I mean, they're like novelty shirts. I don't make hardly any money off them. To me, it was never even about making money. It was about, I thought it was a cool thing that people were wearing a shirt that I'd made, and came up with the idea. I had it printed up, and then people were just buying the shirt. So to me, it was just cool. And for example, when I was doing the Diet Starts Tomorrow shirt, it was the first shirt I ever did. I remember being in Houston for the American Fit Expo, and I saw like 3 people that I didn't even know at the expo wearing my Diet Starts Tomorrow shirt. So it was cool just being there, like, oh, there's my shirt. Like people are wearing it. So that's it. And it's like, yeah, as far as more coming, I just dropped that one 2 days ago. So
yeah, I saw that shirt that you that you put out there. I'm like, yeah, that fits him.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I mean, and that's why I think a lot of people buy them. I have like, the cheat meals one, the cookie pump shirt. So a lot of that, like the cookie stuff I've sent up to Juan Morel, who's, the husband, Juan Diesel Morel, everybody knows, Olympia competitor year after year, and Arnold winner and all that. He's the husband of Karen, who's my cookie dealer. So I make sure he gets some of my shirts too. So he's been wearing them in some of his stories and stuff with the cookie pump one, the cheat meals one, and stuff like that, because he eats like crazy. So, but yeah, just fun stuff, man. They're just like novelty shirts, really.
Yeah, but I mean, they fit a lot of our personality, especially when we like our snacks. Especially when you're on like a super strict diet and you have your one cheat day, and you just, you know what, I'm gonna have a my cookies dealer cookie, or
Yeah, oh yeah.
All right, so Billy says, same with me, John. I was gonna ask about the shirts because I feel like you see them more and more. Dean Perrone is an awesome dude, which is part of it, of course, and because they're all true. It's like a nice statement, not really a question.
Yeah, Billy's all
All right. If management if management challenges you to a food eating contest at HQ, like they did with Darcel, what would you pick, or would you let them pick?
Yes, and yes, everything. We were going to do the last time or two we've been up there. We were going to try to do an eating challenge. We're going to probably do donuts. And we just never did. And then we've talked even about Five Guys, like cheeseburgers and stuff like that, as far as how many we could eat in a certain time period and all that. So without a doubt, and Jason Christie commented as well when he was up there the time for the contest, when he won the contest to come up there, we had talked about even with him. So yeah, every time I'm up there, there's some type of eating stuff going on, but we just never have done it. There's a real popular bakery called Oakmont Bakery up there, which I still haven't been to. In fact, one of the times Zach, who's the main sales guy there for Axe and Sledge, he was going to bring a bunch of Oakmont Bakery stuff in one time for me, but it was during when I was on prep, so I couldn't even eat it anyway. So I was like, don't bother. But one of these days we'll do some sort of eating contest for sure. Knowledge game.
All right, so for Billy, he has another question. I know you mentioned that for Demo Crew Elite members, you had a lot of stuff planned, but it got. I mean, obviously, we're going through a pandemic right now, so it put a hold on a lot of stuff. But lastly, do you see a Demo Crew Elite workout video coming soon, including yourself, of course? Maybe the man himself as well.
Yes, we were so I don't, yeah, I mean, I don't know, more than likely. We had talked about doing a Demo Crew meetup up at corporate sometime this summer. I don't know if that's going to be pushed back now because of all this. I talked to Mike just last week. We were talking about that, and we don't know if we'll still have a big event. We're going to have one. We just don't know if it's going to be like in July, obviously, like we had planned because of obviously everything going on, like you just said. So to answer Billy, it's like, I don't know, to be honest. But I think we do plan on getting the Demo Crew Elite up there to corporate. And then if we do, I'm sure we'll do workout in the gym with Seth and everything. And all the equipment will be back in the gym now. You know, it's been pretty bare. They've been waiting on all the stuff to come in, which it's there now. I talked to Bob actually just yesterday, so it should be all starting to get unloaded tomorrow into the gym, and then so that gym will be. I think they're getting 30 more pieces, so that gym's gonna be packed full of equipment, and Seth will be in heaven. So yeah, this pandemic's messed everything up. I was actually supposed to be up at Axe Sledge the first week of April for the whole week almost, to do a bunch of filming and do a bunch of stuff with Seth and do some stuff for some filming for the products for Axe Sledge and the Demo Crew and everything. And just obviously that didn't happen either. So everything's kind of been pushed back. So
Well, I saw that you guys did a like meeting on Skype or something. That's pretty cool.
yeah, we did that Tuesday night last week. So that's one thing we're doing with the Demo Crew Elite members. We're going to be trying to do like once a month. We're going to be doing a like a Skype call with all of them, and then with myself and Carly and Shane and Pat and Mike were on it as well, and just going over a bunch of stuff with them that you guys will find out about.
All right. Let's see. Next one. Jason. By the way, Jason, you're looking sexy.
Yeah, he's getting ripped up.
Yeah, he is. So I have a question. Do you see yourself going into coaching? Actually, I was wondering that too.
No, probably not. I've been at like over the last few years, I've had a lot of people ask me, you know, if I do diets or stuff like that, if I do any coaching. A lot of people ask me about prepping them for a show, which I've never done it. So I wouldn't, let's put it this way, I wouldn't hire me. Like I don't, you know, coaches, I give a lot of respect to good coaches. Some of them are really, really good. And like I don't know how they do what they do, especially some that aren't local. And you do stuff like over the phone just by pictures, and you know, like well, even like Jack, you know, he's done 3 shows for me now, and even though he's local, I hardly ever see him. So like I was saying, you Saturdays would be checking. I'm basically getting my underwear. My wife takes a picture of me in a front pose, a side pose, and a rear back pose, and I send him all photos. And you know, those guys make changes off pictures like that. And it's so to me, it's like it's kind of like a science, man. Those guys, some guys are really good at it, and I don't have experience doing it. I've never coached anyone. I've never done it, so probably not. Probably not. More so too, just because I don't have the time to do it.
Yeah. Let's see. How is it to train with Rich compared to Seth? Do they have the same intensity in person?
Training is totally different because with Rich, it was hard to it was hard to train because I worked out with Rich a bunch of times, but when we would go, like I said, we would go to a gym a lot of times after the expo, and Rich would just get mobbed with people, you know, with a picture after picture after picture. So it was like we never really went at it like super hard or like a super intense workout. It was more like after the expo, we get a pump on and like go eat. So, I would say, I guess one time, and I got a bunch of pictures of Rich and me. Rich was going over form and helping me with like T-bar rows, and we were going stuff. That was really cool to get some like one-on-one stuff with him like that. And that was when the Europa was here in Orlando, and we went to a local gym the night before, and there wasn't many people there, so we weren't getting bothered by anybody. Rich wasn't getting bothered, and but I mean, and with Seth, I mean, you guys see how Seth trains. Like Seth has been awesome, because with Seth, Seth is very intense. We lift hard, and with Seth has been great, because every single time I've worked out with Seth, which has been numerous times now, he's taught me something. Every single time, like he's either taught me a new move, or something I wasn't doing, or a different angle, or different whatever, or he's taught me, or he's tweaked something I'm doing with my form. So that's one thing that's been awesome with Seth, and I've said that before. I've never like came out of a workout with Seth without learning something new. So it's been awesome. But I mean, it was great to train with both. But I mean, I can't really say, even working out with Rich probably 10 times, it was never like me and him, or, it was multiple people of us, and just kind of hanging out and working out and stuff like that. Or Seth, a lot of times it's just me and him, that whole gym, and we're filming a video together, or even if we're not filming, it's just still me and him in there working out together, and it's just one-on-one, and him pushing me, and then him also, like I said, teaching me something. He's got,
excuse me, Corona.
And both those guys have so much experience, especially Seth. I mean, Seth's a pro bodybuilder. Rich wasn't. Not to take anything away from Rich, but I mean, Seth has stepped on that stage, and he's IFBB pro, and they both have tons of years experience. So always picking Seth's brain as much as I can. And as far as if they have the same intensity, they're both super fucking intense people. They're both pretty similar, man. Like they're both super intense, and I think they both have a great sense of humor, and they both like to fuck with people. Rich used to fuck. I don't think people knew that about Rich. Like Rich used to joke around a lot and fuck with people and kind of talk shit to people, and like he was a fun dude. And Seth's the same way. Obviously, people see that with Seth now. But I think the intensity, they're both pretty intense dudes, man.
Yeah, and another part of this, I mean,
you said, oh yeah,
yeah, you covered this one pretty much.
Yeah, yes. How did I get started with five? Yeah, we pretty much nailed all that.
Yeah. So Kurt, I've been looking into occlusion training, whether to do it or not.
I've only done occlusion training on my arms. I know some people have done it like on wrap their legs. I've done it on my arms a few times. I kind of liked it. It's not something I would do often. Maybe, once a month, like one arm session a month. Some people don't like it or don't think it's really healthy. I know several people that said it's actually good for you if you're nursing an injury as well, because it really, once you release those two, it pushes so much blood and nutrients and everything to those areas. So I don't have a lot of experience with them. I won't act like I do. So I probably can't answer it to the best that you want. I would probably find somebody that has more experience with it. I think I actually have occlusion bands. I have them, but I've probably literally done it like 4 times ever. So probably not a lot of help for me. But.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried it. It's just I've always been. I have to be comfortable when I'm working out, like with clothing and all that stuff. That's why I like this clothing so much. The Action Sledge, just got to be comfortable. And those, just when I'm working out, I don't feel like I'm getting like the full 100% workout I need, even though I hear good things about it.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely uncomfortable. I mean, they start to hurt after a while. Once you start getting the pump and start filling the muscle with blood, I mean, it actually hurts. So, but like, for example, like I've done when I've had an elbow injury, and when I tie up the arms, you don't. And I want to say too, you don't have to lift as heavy. That's kind of the point of it, because you're using the occlusion bands or whatever, so you don't lift as heavy, obviously, and you're still, the main point of them is to pump as much blood into that area as possible. So that's why I've heard a lot of people say they're good, if you're kind of nursing an injury to do it. But yeah, I don't have tons of experience, so I don't want to act like I do.
All right. So next question. Looks like Danielle.
What got you into CrossFit? I think that's
Yeah.
yeah. He was joking, I think.
Yeah, I was CrossFit. We don't do CrossFit here. Are the sponsorships more of a process where you or a company reaches out to one another, or you were just organically using / promoting the products, and they saw you as an asset and brought you on the way? You kind of covered this too.
Yeah, it's really been both. That's what I told him. That's a really good question. But nobody's really, in all these years, no one's really broken down the question like that to me. A lot of people say, "Oh, how do you get with these companies?" And that's it. And I kind of answered it to him right there a little bit. It's been both. Now companies will come to me, but before, like I've worked with a lot of companies, and I've moved on from them. Like I'm happy to at least say, like, I've never been dropped by a company. The companies that I no longer work with, not that I dropped them, I'm not trying to act cool, but I'm saying I've just moved on from them, which is cool. I've always repped a company well or whatever, and respectfully. So I've never been like kicked off of a company or dropped by anybody. But I've worked with several like nut butter companies, protein, peanut butter companies, protein cake companies. I did like a cookie dough company a while back, my very first company. Obviously a couple different supplement companies, but I've been with an apparel company a long time ago. Currently, I work with Urge Strong, which is a CBD company. The Chicken Pound, which is awesome. Seth, he uses Chicken Pound a lot. Chicken Pound's great. It's like every bodybuilder or whatever you want to call us. I don't really consider myself like a big bodybuilder, but I mean, it's every person like us's dream. Like I literally haven't like paid for chicken in like 2 years almost.
It's like our biggest expense other than
Yeah,
supplements.
yeah. So, I mean, I usually pay for shipping. So I'll get like $150 worth of chicken, and I pay like $20 or something. So it's like that. I work with them, and then Sinister Labs I've been with for a couple of years, and then Branch Warren's company, which is Wicked Cuts, which I know Seth's a big fan of that, and he's great friends with Branch. Like, so I've been with, like, if you guys go to my Instagram, look at my bio, I have all those companies there. I've been with every company for probably like 2 years now, if not more. Actually, Access Sledge is probably the least amount of time with the companies I've been with. And but when I started, and that's what I tell people too, it's like, don't be afraid to reach out to a company. So let's just take any company, like say a peanut butter company, protein peanut butter company, something like. First and foremost, everybody, you have to be a user of the product. Don't ever, and we talked about this last week too, it baffles me, like literally baffles me, and people don't get it, that if you don't use a product, whether it's supplements, whether it's protein cakes, peanut butters, an energy drink, apparel company, if you don't use the products, and like, why would any company want to bring you on? And like, people, like, when I've said that to people, even in some of these Facebook groups, people get offended by that. And I'm floored by it, because it's like, why would somebody want to bring you on to rep their company when you know nothing about their products? I don't get it. Like, and people, most people get it, but there are people that don't. And it's like, so you want to be part of my company, but yet you've never even tried the products, no matter what it is. So my first question is, how do you know you even like that? You know what I mean? Like, I understand everybody wants to be a part of something. Obviously, we all do. But it's like, you may not even like that product, right? You know what I mean? What if you have an energy drink company and you think those energy drinks taste like shit? You want to rep them just to get some free stuff, or, you know what I mean? It's just not worth it. So I always tell everybody, first and foremost, buy the product, try the product, make sure you like the product, like the company. And if you do, reach out to that company. That's kind of what I did 4 or 5 years ago. I would reach out to these companies and say, hey, well, I would start posting about them. You know what I mean? Like say I had a protein peanut butter company, you know, I would use that while I'm putting it in a shake or I'm putting it on toast or a bagel or whatever, some shit. And I would make some posts using that. So they see you, tag them. And then I would reach out to those companies and say, hey, I've been using this product for X amount of time. I love it. I was curious, are you guys bringing on any ambassadors? Are you looking for people to help rep your company and stuff like that? And that's how I started getting into companies. Obviously, as time has changed now, you know, then, you know, companies ask me now, but I mean, it never started like that. I mean, people just didn't start reaching out to me and said, hey, we want to give you free stuff all the time every month. So it's to answer Dalton's question, it's at the beginning, I was reaching out to them and now most of the companies reach out to me. It's like, you know, I kind of lucked out with, you know, with like, I know the owner of Wicked Cuts. I know him, who's partners with Branch Warren. And at the time I didn't really know Branch Warren. You know, most people know who he is, a big bodybuilder, and same thing, Arnold, an Olympia competitor, all that. And he's a big name. And but his partner reached out to me and said, hey, we're starting Wicked Cuts with Branch. We'd love to have you come aboard. You want to help run with us? And I was like, oh, hell yeah. I mean, just because I love jerky and stuff, and I like Branch Warren, I'm a fan of his. So, you know, like, so it's changed over time. So, I mean, I hope that answers the question, but so it's been both for me. It started out by me reaching out to them, and now companies reach out to me for the most part. So, but that's what I tell everybody. That's one question I've gotten a lot over the last couple of years is, I mean, that's what people want to know. Hey, can you give me some tips on getting with a company, no matter what it is? And I tell them, make sure you like the product, make sure you like the company, make sure you try to find out about the owners, you know, if they're not, you know, that you could stand behind them, and then reach out to them. The worst thing that can happen if you reach out to a company and ask them, they're just going to say like, no, they're not going to be assholes to you. They're just going to say, you know, no, we're not bringing anybody on right now, or no, we're not looking for anybody right now. It's like, okay, cool. If you got, then you could email them back or whatever, DM them back and just say, cool, you have my info. I'd love to come on if you guys ever bring on anybody. You know, just leave the ball in their court and see what happens. So that's about it. I mean, it's just all communication back and forth with a lot of these companies.
Yeah. All right. So that's all the questions I believe we got on Facebook. If we missed any, I apologize, guys. But I have a couple questions that actually got messaged from a couple Devil Crew Elite members. So Tony Davis, he has a couple questions. Ask him how Axe and Sledge is changing his life.
Well, I mean, everything. I mean, industry wise, it's been the best choice I've ever made. We kind of covered some of it. I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, just everything these guys have done has been great for me. In I guess whatever you want to call it, my stature in the fitness industry, being included in this company has been great. You know, getting to spend all this time I can with Seth and do videos and, you know, learn from him. And then, you know, the four owners are unbelievable guys. You know, like I've taken a lot from I mean, they're all family guys, right? I mean, besides Bob, you know, they don't have kids yet or whatever, but, you know, they're all family guys. They got kids. And they're just good dudes. And like we talked about, they are who they are. They don't try to bullshit anything. They all have good values, morals, ethics. I take that from them just because they're other dads that kick ass, you know, and they're good dudes. They've included me in everything. And then I take as much as I can from them on the business side because I see how successful they are and what they do. So like what we were saying before, it's like you surround yourself with good people and that starts to shape and help and, you know, mold you as well. So, I mean, that kind of answered. I mean, just it's changed me, and just everything that they've done has changed me for the better. And I take as much away from those guys as possible. They've treated me great, and like I said, I try to learn from them. about everything, even the supplements. Like I pick Pat's brain sometimes, or somebody might ask me a question that I don't know, or I see it on Facebook, and I'm like, the Action Sledge group or the demo group, and I'll shoot Pat a text at 10 o'clock at night. Be like, hey, what about this ingredient? Pat will text me back, and so I'm learning. I don't know every ingredient that's in all these things. I don't think anybody does, probably besides Pat. But so I learned from them on everything. The supplements. Like I said, Seth with a lot of the workout stuff, and just overall, just business wise.
So you were telling me before that they're like allowing you to be limitless when it comes to social media. They're not saying, hey, you have to do less of this,
Yeah. Like we joked, because I think when we were talking, I said they let me do anything. I said, well, I don't want to say anything, but they have like so I've I don't think I'm telling you anything I shouldn't. I don't think, but
Well, let's hope not. I
but
don't want to get you in
I'll
trouble.
check in with those guys a lot. I mean, no, I'll text Seth and Bobby and Mike and Pat, all the same group text. I'll text them, say, hey, kind of like report card time. I'll say, hey man, just want to check in with you guys. Is everything cool that I'm doing? Is there anything you guys don't want me doing? Meaning like what you see me doing on social media. I'll say, is everything cool, or is that I'm doing? Is there anything you guys see me doing that you don't want me to do, or maybe a little less of, or or whatever? Because I don't, I'm a representative of them, right? I mean, I'm kind of an extension of Axe the Sledge. I'm an extension of Mike, Pat, Bob, and Seth. And so what I do kind of falls back on them. So but every time I've done that over the course of the year, because I just double check I'm an idiot too. I do some dumb shit sometimes on social media. So I just want to make sure it's not too outrageous. And so I'll throw those texts out to them sometimes, the four of them all at once. And, they text back like, no, man, just keep doing what you're doing. It's great, whatever. And so what you're saying is like what me and you talked about last week. It's like they let me be who I am, which is an awesome thing. It's like they've never once told me, don't do this, or we don't want you doing this, or we want you doing less of this, or don't ever say this. Not one time has one thing ever came up in over a year now. So that's one thing I'm grateful for is, they just let me be me and let me do my thing, and they all seem to be cool with it. So, but I mean, and that's who those guys are. I mean, going back again, like we said a bunch of times on this call, they're just real dudes. Like they know, that I don't think they want me. I don't think they want to turn me into something I'm not, though, either. They don't want me acting like somebody who I'm not. So they're like, yeah, do what you do.
Yeah. So Tony Davis also said you need to put down the snacks.
Dude, yeah. I've been actually really good today on snacks, although I've been drinking tequila quite a bit today. But other than the snacks, I've been pretty good. I need to start putting down the snacks because since the Arnold was canceled, I've been out of control. So I was actually looking pretty good before the Arnold. I was starting to get pretty lean, and then for the last like 4 weeks, I've been out of control, especially with this quarantine. This hasn't helped.
Yeah, I mean, that's for all of us, though. I mean, out of gyms and trying to, when you're sitting at home looking in your pantry and you have all those snacks that were away from, and now you're stuck staring at them, it's kind of hard to put them down,
I have a lot of them too, man. It doesn't help with all these cookies and stuff too.
Yeah, no kidding. All right. Ask him what he sees in the future of companies on where he goes if there's more opportunities for him.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's going to be, well, I'm going to go wherever these guys want me to go, and do whatever they want me to do. They know that, and they know I'm down to do like run with them for as long as we go. So, there are going to be some stuff. There's some stuff, more stuff that I'm doing. We were actually supposed to have a meeting like at the Arnold where they all wanted to talk to me about some new stuff and getting me involved in some different stuff, which we obviously didn't do again because of the Arnold. So when I go up there, I'm going to talk. with them about doing some more stuff. And I believe I'm talking with Seth and Bobby about some stuff we're going to do together as well. So I can't go into much detail because, well, quite frankly, I don't know all the details myself. I just know little hints that they've told me.
Well,
So
no spoiler alerts. I got it.
yeah. So, but yeah, there's going to be some more stuff. I mean, to answer his question, I plan on growing as much as these guys will let me with the company. You know what I mean? So, I'm here for the long haul, and I want to keep growing as the company grows, and it's growing like crazy. So, and they know that. They know I'm down to do whatever they need me to do. And I believe they have quite a bit more stuff they want me involved in. So, I already told them I'm in. And Bobby actually in a text when Bobby joked because Bobby said we're going to talk to you about some stuff, and I go without hearing it, I'm in. Bobby goes, you better be careful for what you're asking or something like that. So, but yeah, I mean, to answer Tony's question, definitely, I just plan on growing with them as much as they will allow me.
Yeah. So next one's from Brooke Sepp. We just got a couple from her. Normal workouts / meal schedules and routines. That's a. I mean, I know that we all
Well,
have our extended workout routines, and I'm assuming they're talking about the non-quarantine days.
yeah. So what did she ask? Like, what my normal workout schedule like? Is that
Yeah,
what you said?
what's your normal workout schedule and your meal schedule or your routine?
Okay, yeah. So um, well, I always do one muscle group, a day. I've talked about this. I even put this in the group sometimes. I've tried to do push pull legs and stuff like that. I've tried to do that routine, a push pull legs routine, probably like 4 times over the last like 2 or 3 years, and it lasts like 2 weeks, and I just can't do it. It's just not for me. I know some people love it, and I always just feel like I'm shortchanging the muscle really bad because I'm used to going in there and like hammering back, for like an hour, or hammering arms for an hour. So when I go in there and I try to do like a push day, and I'm all doing only a couple sets of this, a couple sets of that, like I don't mentally, it messes with me. So I'm a one muscle group a day guy. As far as the schedule goes, sometimes it changes. A lot of times I like to do legs like on Monday, so I might do like legs, then chest, and then usually like back, then shoulders, and then like arms. Like arms always end up sometimes for some reason like on Fridays, and then I usually work out. Most of the time, I work out 6 days a week. And some days maybe I might just do a day where I do like calves and abs and cardio, which I don't really ever do abs either. So it might just be like calves and cardio one day. Um, but and I usually take one day off a week. And like during soccer season, a lot it's usually Saturday because we'll have like Saturday morning games. So I usually just blow Saturday off, and then I'll try to go to the gym like on Sunday. But I just start over. So whatever my schedule goes, I'll take that like one day off, and I just keep going right after that. Meals, I work out fasted every day, which most people know that. I go to the gym at 4:30 in the morning. I wake up at 3:45 every morning. This is again non-quarantine. 3:45 in the morning, the alarm goes off. Wake up, piss, whatever, get dressed, brush my teeth, make pre-workout, make the grind, and I drink my pre-workout on the way to the gym, workout. When I come home, I have meal one basically. As soon as I come home, I start making food. And that's just it. And then meals, usually like 5 meals a day, sometimes maybe six, but for the most part, I only eat like 5 times a day. And they're usually like every 2.5, 3 hours, 2.5 hours, something, whatever I'm hungry. But I'm not, unless I'm in prep, I'm just not that strict with everything. Um, depending on work, there might be a time where I go 4.5, 5 hours before I eat or something,
Yeah.
starving, but it just depends on what happens. But yeah, so I mean, if I was prepping, obviously shit would be very detailed. But on a regular day, it's just I try to eat like every 2.5, 3 hours. Usually have like one shake a day, which I usually count as like a meal. But I'll usually do like one farm fed shake a day. I usually do two scoops every time I have a shake.
All right. So last one. Oh, baby's not happy. Uh, When are you going to create a dad TikTok account?
Probably never. I can't keep up with those moves, man. There are too many of them. My daughters run them all the time, and they'll say, let's do this one, and they'll show it to me. And it's like 25 moves. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. But they are pretty funny. You know what's crazy is like I'm sure all you guys have during this quarantine time. I've seen so many people, on Instagram getting into TikTok now.
Hold on, sorry.
That were never on TikTok before. They're all posting TikTok videos, which are pretty funny. So, but yeah, tell Brooke don't hold her breath for my TikTok account. I actually have an account, but there's like one video on it.
Is that the video that you posted of you dancing or trying to dance?
Probably. Yeah, I think there's two videos. There's one I did a long time ago, and then there's the one that me and my one daughter did. But I think that's it.
Oh, okay. All right, so that's all the questions that I got for you. Dean, I really appreciate you coming on, taking your time. I know this podcast was a long one.
Yeah, I was looking at the time. I'm like, I've gone for a while. That's what happens. You get me running my mouth, man.
Yeah, well, you're a talker. You're a good talker, though. So, for everybody listening, this podcast is for everybody that wants to better their life. If you have a story, a motivational story that you think can help individuals better themselves and improve in their life, go ahead and give me a personal message. We'll try to get you on and get your story out there. And for the demo crew members that are listening, just keep staying motivated and remember that's why we're here, is change lives, better lives. Dean, do you have anything for the listeners before you head out?
No, man, not really. Thank everybody for listening and tuning in. It's been probably a longer podcast than people were expecting. It doesn't bother me, but no, I mean, I always thank everybody for the support. You know what I mean? Like I never take anything for granted. Like I have a lot of people that use my codes for all the different. I greatly appreciate that always. I never take that shit for granted because I know there's other people out there whose codes people can use and stuff like that. And so that's another thing. Real quick, I'll just give a tip. Like we've talked about this when I've been up at Axel Sledge. Me and Seth have talked a lot about it. But as far as people with codes for any company, this doesn't have to be for Axel Sledge or whatever. But if you're a rep for any company, it's like one of the most successful things I feel, and the code as much. Like, salesman, car salesman, code pusher, like a lot of people do that. And I think when you offer value first and offer help first, that's when people like to use your code. And that's one of the things that's I think helped me out a lot is I don't usually, and a lot of people that are listening to this that maybe have used my code will tell you, like I get questions all the time. Like I said, every day, tons of questions in my DMs, and it's all people that ask me about products. What's the best flavors? What do I like? And I may answer. We may go back and forth 15 times, and I'll just say to them, "Hey, if you need a code, let me know." I don't know. I don't ever say like, "Here's my code. Use my code." Stuff like that. And 9 out of 10 times doing it that way, I think people appreciate it more. I just offer. I offer. I don't even tell them what the code is. I just say, "Hey, if you need a discount, let me know." And the people say, "Hey, yeah, what's your code?" And that. So that's just don't try to push the code as hard as. There's nothing wrong with pushing your code, but do it in a good way, I guess. But that was a complete side tangent. But I just try to offer a help or tip for people. But yeah, man, I just appreciate everybody that supports me on Instagram and takes 2 seconds out of their day to watch my dumbass stories and check out my posts or like my stuff, comment on my stuff. I love the comments, man. Keep them coming. I love engaging with everybody on Instagram. And again, appreciate everybody and thank you guys. And thank you for having me on, man.
Hey, no problem, brother. Anytime, and hope we could do it again. Dean, you're an icon to a lot of people. So
Thank you.
Keep it going, man. I love it.
No problem, man. No problem at all.
All right, have a good one, brother.
Keep these up too, man. I like the video doing these. This is good.
Yeah, the first one, I'm gonna tinker with it, and I mean, keep improving, every time I do it. So,
Yeah. Good deal,
all right, brother. Thanks again.
man. Yeah.